The thoughts that plague you stem solely from the abundance of good people surrounding you ultimately. It is mere fortune that has smiled upon you. The man with blood-red eyes scoffed, his voice resonating with authority. The world I seek to create is not one where fate determines the future. Every individual deserves the right to happiness, and you shall serve as the stepping stone to this world. Naruto abruptly opened his eyes, cold sweat trickling down his still youthful cheeks. He gasped for breath, gripping the blanket tightly, his gaze fixed intently on the ceiling. Another nightmare. Were those eyes the Sharingan? He tossed aside the blanket and descended from his bed. Pulling open the window, he was greeted by the dim light of dawn, where the statue of the Fourth Hokage stood majestically. Some shops in the Hidden Leaf Village had already opened their doors, and the streets were bustling with an increasing number of pedestrians, the entire village infused with a sense of optimism for the future. With a snap, Naruto shut the window and turned to don his white shirt, emblazoned with the red symbol of the Hidden Leaf Village garment he cherished dearly. As was his routine, he made his way downstairs, intending to purchase a few tubs of instant noodles. He felt the slight weight of his somewhat deflated frog wallet in his pocket and sighed. Hey, have you seen that guy? Wow, is he really the Nine Tails? He even has whiskers on his face. That gloomy expression is truly frightening. Don't go near him, be careful, he doesn't eat you. A pair of girls chattered playfully as they passed by Naruto, their glances frequently landing on him, teasing in a mocking tone. Naruto lowered his head further, his eyes dimming with sadness. Once, the Hidden Leaf Village had suffered an attack from a fearsome Nine Tails, resulting in devastating losses. To protect the village, the Fourth Hokage and several valiant ninjas sacrificed their lives, including the entire Hanyu family, who perished in the onslaught, leaving even the young Irika Hanyu unable to escape. The villagers harbored a deep-seated hatred for the Nine Tails, and by extension, for Naruto, the host of this fearsome beast. Naruto-kun, would you like to play a game? Suddenly, a hand landed on Naruto's shoulder. He turned to see a group of children around his age looking at him. The boy with short brown hair, who appeared to be their leader, had initiated the contact. Naruto paused for a moment before nodding in response. That's great. I've been wanting to play a game with Naruto-kun. The brown-haired boy smiled as he gathered his friends around Naruto. After encircling him, the boy extended his hand and introduced himself. Imuraiwa. Please take care of me. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto beamed, his heart lifted by the long-awaited interaction with peers. He reached out to shake Muraiwa's hand, but the latter suddenly withdrew his hand. Sorry. I have a bit of a cleanliness obsession. Muraiwa laughed, shaking his hand jovially. Muraiwa, that's so mean. Does that mean you think Naruto-kun is dirty? Exactly. Muraiwa is so mean. The other children jeered, casting amused glances at the embarrassed Naruto. Apologies. Let us first engage in a game. I shall explain its rules, said Murayan, scratching his face. This game is called the ninja game. One person plays the monster, while the others assume the roles of ninjas. If the monster touches a ninja, that ninja is out. That if the monster succeeds in eliminating all the ninjas, it wins. Conversely, the ninjas triumph if they manage to evade the monster. Quite simple, isn't it? Naruto nodded thoughtfully. So, who will portray the monster? Shall we decide through rock, paper, scissors? Rock, paper, scissors? Murayan responded with confusion. Isn't the monster already chosen? Naruto paused, then grasped Murayan's intent, frowning in dissatisfaction. Only within the context of a game. Naruto-kun is our friend. We would never treat him with such disdain. Rest assured, Murayan reassured, clapping his hands. Upon hearing the word friend, Naruto bit his lip and declared, then let me be a ninja in the next round. Of course. Shall we begin? Murayan signaled to the other children. Yes, Naruto assumed. A beast-like stance, expecting the ninja children to flee, as one would not risk elimination by merely touching. However, under Murayan's leadership, the children retrieved wooden shurikens and toy kunai from their pockets, hurling them at Naruto with abandon. Though they were merely toys, the impact against Naruto's head caused him considerable discomfort as he felt the force behind their throws. For the protection of the Hidden Leaf Village. Charge! Murayan shouted, and the children, armed with their toy weapons, rushed towards Naruto, launching a close-range assault. Gritting his teeth against the pain, Naruto seized a moment when one child was distracted, dodged a punch from Urian, and swiftly grasped the arm of another child. "I got him!" Naruto exclaimed, elated. Suddenly, a fist struck Naruto squarely in the face, causing him to instinctively release his grip. The child he had caught retaliated with a kick, sending Naruto crashing to the ground. Press the advantage. Victory is within our grasp. For the leaf. Urian rallied the children, who surrounded Naruto, raining down punches and kicks upon the boy lying on the ground. Faced with the relentless barrage, Naruto found himself unable to defend, repeatedly shouting, "I touched him. He should be out." But his pleas fell on deaf ears as they continued to pummel him. It was then that Naruto realized their true intention was not to play a game, but simply to hurt him. What did it matter if he was out? They were not beating him for the sake of the game. "I don't want to play anymore. I surrender." Naruto's heart plummeted, tears streaming from his reddened eyes. Yet no one seemed inclined to heed his cries. A heavy blow landed on his eye had he not closed his eyes in time. It could have resulted in a grave injury. Before long, Naruto's face bore the marks of a brutal encounter. Bruised and battered, his body aching and consciousness fading. Tears had long since dried upon his cheeks. When suddenly, raindrops began to fall from the heavens, the icy droplets striking his skin, rousing his senses. As he opened his eyes, he beheld Urian perched atop him, his fist clenched, poised to deliver another blow. The mighty righteous ninja shall finally strike. With a hearty laugh, Urian swung his fist toward Naruto. Yet, just as the fist was a mere centimeter away, Naruto's scara transformed into a vivid crimson, his pupils narrowing like a fox's. A surge of red chakra erupted from his being, his incisors elongating into sharp fangs, while the whisker-like markings on his face deepened, rendering him a fearsome visage. Crack! Naruto seized Urian by the neck, lifting him effortlessly from his body. Out of bounds, with a fierce growl, Naruto hurled Urian away, who somersaulted through the air before crashing heavily to the ground. As he staggered to his feet, blood spewed from his mouth. "Monster! Monster! You can no longer conceal your true self." A child, trembling with fear, pointed at Naruto, shouting, "You destroyed the village. You killed everyone. Then I suppose I shan't mind adding one more to the tally." Naruto's words were not his own. They were spoken by the Nine-Tails demon within him. In an instant, Naruto stomped his foot, chakra exploding from the ground beneath him. Like an arrow, he seized the child by the neck, forcefully pressing him down to the earth. "He's killing. Help! Naruto's killing. Monster! Such a terrifying monster. Quick, someone stop him. Kill Naruto." Children scattered in all directions, while passers-by halted, paralyzed by fear, unwilling to approach the unleashed chakra of the Nine-Tails. Urian, seeing Naruto shift his focus, scrambled to his feet and vanished into the crowd. "That's not true. They were the ones who attacked me." Hearing the murmurs of the crowd, Naruto turned back defiantly, shouting, "I am not a monster. If you're not a monster, then who is? Look at yourself. Disgusting, hideous monster. Get out of Konoha." The children in the crowd yelled, seemingly empowered by their numbers, showing no fear of the raging chakra emanating from Naruto. "I'm not." Guided by the Nine-Tails, Naruto roared and charged at Urian. Scatter thousand birds technique. Dozens of crows suddenly emerged around Naruto, obstructing his vision. Before he could comprehend the situation, a man wearing red-framed sunglasses sprinted towards him from a distance that he drew two black ropes, capable of channeling chakra, from his pocket, their ends affixed with kunai. The man hurled the kunai, which plunged violently into Naruto's body, chakra coursing through the black ropes, rendering him immobile. Secret art. Stone needle. Teacher Aoi from Yamashiro. It's the special jonin. So impressive, truly deserving of the title this. Monster is no match for a ninja. The crowd erupted in cheers as the man known as Aoba from the mountain town adjusted his sunglasses and inquired about the situation at hand. We saw Naruto all alone and pitiful, so we invited him to join our game. Little did we expect that when he couldn't keep up, he resorted to cheating and transformed into a monster to attack us. Villainous Urian interjected, pointing to his wounds. "Aoba sensei, look at the injuries on me and Haru. He inflicted them. They started the cheating first." Naruto bellowed in protest. "That's a lie. It's obvious that Naruto couldn't handle losing and decided to attack us. Exactly. If he can't play fair, then nobody should play with Naruto. How despicable. The children clamored in retort, emboldened by Aoba's presence, no longer fearful of Naruto. That's not true. Naruto found himself at a loss for words. If everyone is saying this, then it must be you who is in the wrong. Naruto. Aoba regarded Naruto with a stern expression. Please, do not cause any more trouble for the adults. It's perfectly normal to lose in a game. Don't let your desire to win cloud your judgment. Is it true that if everyone says so, I must be the one at fault? Is right and wrong determined solely by the voices of the crowd? Feeling the chilling raindrops, Naruto sensed the nine-tailed chakra within him gradually dissipating. He closed his eyes, as if summoning the last of his strength, and spoke softly. Yes. 4 years have passed since Naruto's last outburst, and the once small boy has grown significantly taller. His attire has transformed from a thin white shirt to a vibrant orange jacket with a black lining, yet the constant companion of his existence remains an enduring solitude. Indeed. No one remembers my birthday. For them, it must be an unworthy occasion for celebration, as it coincides with the anniversary of the Fourth Hokage's demise. Gripping the swing's chain, Naruto hangs his head low, his gaze vacantly fixed on the ceiling above. Since that last incident, he has been unable to find friends, and no one dares approach him. Everyone believes the rumors, fearing that if Naruto loses a game, he might transform into a monster capable of murder. The truth is far from this misconception. Naruto tightened his grip on the swing's chain with a surge of frustration. You are Uzumaki, Naruto, aren't you? A youthful voice emerged from behind him. Naruto lifted his head to identify the source of the sound, a boy clad in a dark gray coat, with a head of neatly cropped hair and a porcelain-like complexion. The boy smiled at Naruto and spoke. I am Uchiha Sasuke, a fellow graduate from the same class at the Ninja Academy. It is a pleasure to meet you. Naruto recognized the Uchiha Clan emblem on the boy's attire and silently acknowledged his thoughts. The Uchiha Clan is a prominent ninja family in Konoha, known for their formidable Sharingan, rivaling the renowned Hyūga Clan. Sasuke's smile was refreshingly sincere, causing Naruto to feel somewhat flustered. Due to his past experiences with the villagers, he had become exceedingly sensitive to the kindness of strangers. Whether it was the ramen shop owner Irika or his classmates Shikamaru and Choji, all had extended kindness towards him. Yet he had consistently shunned their advances. He feared the prospect of being hurt again. May I call you Naruto? Sasuke asked, scratching his face awkwardly as Naruto remained statue-like in his seat. Why yes, Naruto instinctively replied, surprised by the inexplicable warmth emanating from Sasuke, making him unable to resist the connection. What do you usually do? Sasuke inquired as he settled beside Naruto, who instinctively shifted away on the swing. I swing and climb trees, Naruto answered softly, biting his lip. I'm quite adept at climbing trees as well. I used to compete with my brother, but now that he has become an Umbu captain, he no longer has time to climb with me, Sasuke remarked, extending his arms as if to embrace something. Do you enjoy climbing trees, Naruto? Not particularly. But if I don't climb, I can't reach the fruits, and I would starve. Naruto scratched his face in response. Sasuke paused, then incredulously replied, but Naruto, don't you receive a stipend from the Third Hokage? Surely you wouldn't need to pick fruits to fill your stomach? As Naruto's words remained unspoken, he was suddenly overwhelmed by a nauseating stench of alcohol. A rough, calloused hand clamped down on his head. Its owner, a burly man clad in a white cloth garment, towered over him, flanked by several scrawnier lackeys. Naruto-kun, so this is where you've been hiding. You've made a search for you in vain. The man belched a foul odor of liquor, then thrust his right hand into Naruto's pocket, retrieving his frog wallet. He opened it, seized the substantial bills within, and carelessly tossed Naruto a shriveled wallet containing only a few coins. Why is there so much missing this month? Are you hiding more? The man viciously shook Naruto's head and demanded, Speak up, Naruto-kun. Have you turned mute after just a few days? Passers-by began to gather, their eyes gleaming with anticipation as they observed the unfolding drama. Hey, old man, return Naruto's money. Sasuke interjected, his brows furrowed. He leaped down from a swing, confronting the trio of drunken men with an expression of disdain. Who are you, brat? One of the drunks sneered, shoving Naruto to the ground. Naruto, you scoundrel aren't worthy of knowing my name. Sasuke's anger flared as he stomped down hard on the swing's iron chain, launching himself into a kick aimed at the drunkard's head. Don't underestimate adults, you little brat. The drunk raised his hand, catching Sasuke's foot with a mocking grin. You can still beg for mercy now. Indeed, it's not too late to beg. With lightning speed, Sasuke's left foot struck the drunkard's head, causing him to instinctively loosen his grip. With his legs freed, Sasuke spun gracefully in midair, forming a series of hand seals before landing. He swiftly covered his mouth and unleashed a medium-sized fireball. Fire style, grand fireball technique. The drunk fell to the ground in terror as the fireball grazed his head, crashing into the ground behind him and creating a sizable black crater. Sasuke had deliberately aimed off target. Had the fireball connected directly, the drunkard would have suffered severe burns, perhaps even death. Why are you just standing there? Attack me. The drunkard, embarrassed by the gathering crowd, roared, commanding his lackeys. Though reluctant, the lackeys knew they had to obey their leader's order if they wished to continue in their illicit activities. Sasuke remained poised, his deep, jewel-like eyes transforming suddenly, the irises shifting to crimson, with the black forming a tomo at the center around pupil. Sharingan. The lackeys, about to charge, were halted in their tracks, terrified by Sasuke's Sharingan. "B-boss, this kid is from the Uchiha Clan." One of them stammered, retreating several steps in fear. The Uchiha Clan. Damn it. How could someone from that clan be mixed up with a monster? Realizing the gravity of the situation, the drunken leader hastily dropped the pile of money he had stolen from Naruto and beckoned his lackeys to flee in disarray. "It's Uchiha Sasuke. I know him. He's so cool. When I grow up, I will surely marry him." "You must be joking. At most, you'll end up with that bearded monster. Your words are becoming increasingly venomous. I'd rather perish than marry such a creature." Various voices of discussion erupted from the crowd, predominantly comparing Sasuke to Naruto, asserting that Sasuke was the antithesis of Naruto, a flawless being. He is not a monster. Sasuke cast a glare at the girls engaged in conversation, then picked up some cash, smiled, and turned to Naruto, saying, "I'll cover your expenses." The autumn breeze stirred the swing, producing a creaking sound, while Naruto's figure had vanished without a trace, as if he had never graced this park with his presence. In that moment, Sasuke comprehended that the desolation within Naruto's heart was a sentiment far beyond his own understanding. As dusk settled, the lights of Konoha began to dim. Naruto gulped down the last sip of milk, and as anticipated, the shopkeeper had again provided him with expired, spoiled milk. Clutching his stomach, he dashed to the restroom, and upon emerging, fatigue overwhelmed him, prompting him to collapse onto his bed, too weary to move. Why must I endure such tribulations? Why am I the Nine-Tails Jinchūriki? Naruto's thoughts began to drift, and as he closed his eyes, the biting cold wind from outside stilled his racing mind. If I possess formidable power, surely everyone will acknowledge me, right? Naruto clenched his fists, a flicker of determination shining in his eyes. Moreover, with strength, I could vanquish foes with the same flair as Sasuke. Perhaps then, there would be girls cheering for me. With this thought, a smile instinctively crept upon Naruto's lips. Realizing he couldn't sleep, he donned a black outfit, obscured his face with a trash bag, and stealthily departed his residence in the dead of night. His objective was the forbidden jutsu scroll in the Third Hokage's office. Acquiring even one would significantly enhance his power. 2 Nin were stationed outside the Hokage's office, and Naruto concealed himself in the bushes, observing the drowsy guards. He picked up a stone and hurled it towards them. "Who goes there?" The 2 Nin instantly perked up, brandishing kunai as they approached Naruto's direction. A shadow darted from the bushes, and as the guards focused, they realized it was merely a black cat, which meowed at them. Encountering a black cat at such an hour is a bad omen. "Let us leave." The guards waved the cat away, which then scurried to the side of the Hokage's office, evading their sight and darting through the window. Once inside the corridor, the black cat transformed back into Naruto. Clad in black attire, a mischievous grin adorning his face as he stealthily approached the office door. Just as he was about to twist the doorknob, he heard a familiar voice. This is too unfair to the fourth. It was the voice of the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Naruto could not mishear it. He had already passed away, but as for his son, Naruto Uzumaki, I concede that his actions are commendable. Yet you are aware that Naruto lacks the capability to harness the power of the Nine-Tails. A voice, unfamiliar to Naruto, resonated with an age reminiscent of the third Hokage. It spoke of a past incident during which he nearly took the lives of villagers. Such resentment could very well serve as justification for actions detrimental to Konoha. My father, the fourth Hokage? Naruto paused, having never encountered this revelation before. Was his fate as a jinchūriki of the Nine-Tails somehow entwined with his father's legacy? In other words, could he have been on the path to becoming a rogue ninja? Thus, I demand that Naruto be apprehended and handed over to me for judgment. I shall confine him until a loyal Konoha ninja emerges, one capable of bearing the Nine Tails' power. Extracting the Nine Tails would mean his death. If you occupy this position, you should comprehend how foolish it is to show mercy. Naruto stood there, stunned, as his heart sank to an icy abyss. The Fourth Hokage was his father, who sacrificed himself to seal the Nine Tails, leaving his child to navigate this world alone as a jinchūriki. How could a man who failed to protect his own family presume to be a paragon of virtue? For the sake of a heroic title, could one allow their child to be treated as a monster, enduring such a life? Listening to the dialogue between the third Hokage and an elder named Danzo, Naruto clenched his fists, fury igniting like flames in his eyes. If you wish to barter my life for the peace of Konoha, then I shall use my life to obliterate it. This shall be my vengeance, Minato Namikaze. A chilling smirk crept across the visage of the crimson-tailed beast within the seal. This is as it should be. Only hatred can be inherited. Let us discuss this after the Chunin exams, the third Hokage suggested, hoping that Naruto might gain control over the Nine Tails' power by then. He shook his head, feeling a pang of compassion. If you insist on this path, there is little I can do. I can only remind you that the position of Hokage embodies not only immense strength and acclaim, but also the darkest corners of the ninja world. Danzo, leaning on his staff, sighed, "You are the tree basking in sunlight, while I am the root deeply embedded in the earth. Be cautious, Hiruzen." Just as the third Hokage was about to respond, Danzo abruptly produced a shuriken from his robes and hurled it towards the office door. "What is it?" the third Hokage inquired, surprised. "It seems there is someone outside." Utilizing the body flicker technique, Danzo swiftly appeared at the door, flinging it open. A black cat meowed at him from the window before leaping away. "Just a cat," he murmured, rubbing his head. "Perhaps I am simply fatigued and a bit disoriented. I shall return to rest, Hiruzen." "Very well. Inform me of any unforeseen developments." The third Hokage nodded, removing his Hokage hat and lighting his pipe. "Good night. Good night." Meanwhile, Naruto reverted from his feline form, wandering alone on the frigid streets. The dim street lamps flickered erratically due to electrical issues, while a few insects danced around the light. Naruto's demeanor underwent a transformation. His gaze, once vacant, now resembled a concealed blade glimmering with a cold light. When not in use, it lay hidden, but when unleashed, it struck with lethal precision. "Naruto-kun, it's been a while." A somewhat flippant voice drew his attention. A blue-haired man clad in a nin jacket perched on a rooftop, smiling down at him. "Shoboka-sensei, long time no see. I haven't seen you since our graduation from the Ninja Academy," Naruto replied, lifting his head to mask the sharpness in his eyes, feigning a foolish expression. "I heard you were harassed by a drunken man today, which made me a bit worried. I'm relieved to see you unharmed. By the way, that kid named Sasuke is quite impressive. He single-handedly drove the drunkard away." The insinuation in Shuiboku's tone immediately registered with Naruto, who inwardly scoffed. Seizing upon the topic, he feigned eagerness, saying, "Shuiboka-sensei, if I could be as strong as Sasuke, then no one would bully me." "Well, that's not achievable in the short term, though it's not entirely impossible. I do know of a method," Shuiboku replied, instinctively smiling as he sensed the conversation was flowing smoothly. "As long as you can obtain a certain all-knowing tome from the Hokage's office, you could learn many forbidden techniques in a short span. At that point, not even Nin would be your match." "An all-knowing tome? Is that true? But isn't the Hokage's office guarded? We can't just waltz in," Naruto pondered, pretending to be oblivious while questioning the nature of this tome. "Don't worry, tomorrow. It just so happens that Shuiboka-sensei and another teacher will be on duty. I will help you distract the other teacher, and you can slip inside," Shuiboku kindly assured him. "Really? That's fantastic. So, shall we proceed tomorrow?" "Certainly, but I have a request. Once you acquire the all-knowing tome, you must come to the forest in the back mountains. That way, I can teach you how to utilize it properly. Otherwise, if you tinker with it at home, you might attract unwanted trouble." "Agreed. The forest in the back mountains it is." After Shuiboku departed, Naruto did not return home immediately. Instead, he ventured alone to the forest in the back mountains, remaining there until dawn broke. Upon returning home, he fell into a deep slumber until noon. After consuming instant noodles, he used all his savings to rush to the ninja tool shop and purchase an explosive tag. After acquiring it, he returned home and slept again, this time for the entire afternoon. At 11 o'clock that evening, Naruto awakened, donned a black cloak, and swiftly made his way to the Hokage's office. Just as Shuiboku had indicated, the other Nin was indeed on night watch. Naruto whistled, catching Shuiboku's attention. He gestured, and Shuoboka nodded in understanding. What was that sound? The somewhat drowsy Nin immediately perked up, scanning the surroundings. It seems to be coming from over there. Let us investigate. Shuemu pointed in the opposite direction to Naruto, leading the Chunin towards that location. After their departure, Naruto transformed into a black cat using his transformation technique and stealthily re-entered the office. According to Shuemu's information, the third Hokage was not working the night shift this time, so he would not be present in the office to engage in conversation as he had during the previous occasion. With a gentle push, Naruto opened the office door. Careful not to make a sound. Following Shuemu's description, he rummaged through the cabinet containing forbidden jutsu, ultimately discovering a scroll nestled in the highest storage compartment. The scroll was sealed with a talisman depicting a sealing technique, and 4 large characters adorned its axis, Book of Dimensions. It seemed that this colossal scroll, bound by the sealing technique, was indeed the item he sought. Taking a deep breath, Naruto's eyes momentarily transformed into a crimson hue, with his pupils taking on a slitted appearance. This intriguing little trinket will be borrowed for a while. The Nine-Tails sneered from within the sealing gate. With a surge of the Nine-Tails' formidable chakra, Naruto tore away the sealing talisman. He retrieved the Book of Dimensions and opened it, revealing a blank surface upon which several lines of text began to materialize. A drop of blood will recognize the master. Naruto furrowed his brow, biting his thumb until it bled, and pressed it against the surface of the Book of Dimensions. In that instant, his blood seemed to be drawn in, extending into a complex array upon the scroll's surface. What is happening? Naruto clenched his teeth, and after a flash of blinding light, new lines of text appeared on the book. Master recognition successful. From this moment on, you are my master, Uzumaki Naruto. Impressive to know my name. It truly is an omniscient and all-powerful tome. Naruto felt a surge of exhilaration and inquired of the Book of Dimensions. I wish to grow stronger. Strong enough to obliterate Konoha. Reveal the method to me. The text on the book took a moment to respond. I possess knowledge of nearly all ninjutsu in this world, except for the sealed technique known as the soul-snatching technique. If memory serves, this technique has the capacity to seize another's bloodline limit, and even consume individuals as chakra fruit, thereby enhancing your power ceiling. That very technique is situated behind you. Behind me? Naruto paused, looking up towards the highest shelf of the storage cabinet, where a square book was sealed. Unlike the scroll, it appeared significantly smaller, with its spine secured by a sealing paper. That is the one. You should see it. Take it with you. As for the remaining ninjutsu training, allow me to devise a system most suitable for you. The Book of Dimensions replied once more in written form. Very well. Naruto, brimming with excitement, utilized the Nine-Tails chakra to tear away the seal from the soul-snatching technique, then exited the Hokage's office with both the soul-snatching technique and the Book of Dimensions in hand. Unable to transform into a cat due to the items he carried, he nonetheless made a safe escape with Shuemu's cover. Naruto rushed to the forest at the back mountain, the designated meeting place agreed upon with Shuemu. It wasn't long before Shuemu arrived at the forest, and upon reuniting with Naruto, his first question was about the whereabouts of the Book of Dimensions. Here it is. Naruto, with utmost sincerity, handed the Book of Dimensions to Mizuki, who, unable to contain his excitement, seized it with fervor, rubbing his cheek against the tome. Well done, Naruto. Mizuki exclaimed with a smile. You may take your leave now. However, as a good teacher, he decided to accompany Naruto on his journey. Farewell, Nine-Tails monster. He sneered, launching a large shuriken that cleaved Naruto's form in two. Yet, with a resounding poof, Naruto's body transformed into a wisp of white smoke and vanished. What a pity. A mocking voice echoed from behind Mizuki. He turned swiftly to find Naruto standing there, delivering a swift kick to his midsection. Mizuki stumbled forward, only to find the ground beneath him give way, plunging him into a pit, leaving only his head above the surface. Earth-style, decapitation technique, Naruto declared, releasing his hand seals with a smirk. Perhaps it's more fitting to announce the technique after it has ensnared the opponent. Mizuki writhed in terror, his eyes wide with fear as Naruto retrieved the Book of Dimensions from the ground, brushing off the dust. You just struck a shadow clone, Mizuki-sensei, Naruto said, advancing with an explosive tag in hand. Have you come to understand the cause of your demise? It is your underestimation of me. Wait. Naruto. Mizuki squirmed desperately, resembling a writhing maggot. I am Mizuki-sensei. How could you do this? Please, Naruto. Your student is Uzumaki Naruto. What connection do I have to a monster like you? With a smile, Naruto affixed the explosive tag to Mizuki's forehead and casually walked away, saying, Farewell, help. Uzumaki Naruto is killed. A monster has murdered. Mizuki screamed. Realizing that appealing to emotions was futile, he cried out, hoping for rescue. This is 2 kilometers from Konoha. No one will hear you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have chosen this meeting point, Naruto replied, shaking his head. With a snap of his fingers, the explosive tag detonated, extinguishing Mizuki's despair in a blaze of fire. After Mizuki's demise, Naruto, guided by the Book of Dimensions, utilized the soul extraction technique to transform Mizuki's corpse into a chakra fruit, which he consumed. This technique, while not offensive in nature, could only convert deceased beings into chakra fruits, provided they had not been dead for over 24 hours. Its auxiliary effects were undeniable. And as Naruto absorbed the chakra, a cruel smile spread across his face. Excellent. My next targets will be the Uchiha Sharingan and the Hyūga Clan's Byakugan. The following morning, clad in an orange jacket, Naruto leaned against a telephone pole, munching on a meat bun as he listened to passers-by discuss Mizuki's fate. Hey, have you heard? Mizuki has gone missing. His partner said he just went to the restroom and never returned. It's quite strange. The gatekeepers claimed they hadn't seen him. He simply vanished. They exclaimed, bewildered by the mystery. Was it not said that traces of an explosion were found on the back mountain? Moreover, a pit large enough to accommodate an adult was discovered. So what? If no body is found, all of it is in vain. It is impossible for the detonating talisman to obliterate a corpse completely, is it? I dare say, it must be some malevolent force at play. Passers-by engaged in animated discussions, while a group of ruffians clad in loose clothing sauntered past. The leader of the thugs fixed his cunning gaze upon Naruto, who was leaning against a telephone pole, and signaled to his underlings, who promptly approached Naruto. Naruto raised his head, evidently aware of the thug's presence. Having resolved to eradicate Konoha's scourge, he would not tolerate these scoundrels any longer. He stuffed a bun into his mouth and swallowed it whole. Ha! This kid is afraid we'll snatch his bun. Just look at him. Ha ha. It's hilarious. Doesn't he fear choking? He should consider the bun's feelings too. Such an ungracious way of eating. Do you expect a monster to eat gracefully? The ruffian leader suppressed a laugh as he stepped before Naruto and said, Well, little Naruto, fret not. Your uncles want to take your bun. It's just that we're a bit short on funds lately. If you could bring out that little frog and treat us to a drink, it would be splendid. Are you not using your brain? Naruto raised an eyebrow and replied, I have no money. Ha ha ha. Quite remarkable. Our little Naruto has become quite assertive since becoming a genin. The thug leader paused for a moment. Then, instead of growing angry, laughed as he pressed down on Naruto's head, saying, Care to repeat that? It seems, my dear uncle, not only is your brain lacking, but your ears are too. Naruto smiled. You little brat, seeking your own demise. The thug raised his fist and swung it toward Naruto's head. Just as Naruto formed a cross seal and prepared to summon a shadow clone, a familiar voice called from behind him. Stop! Sasuke appeared above the ruffian in an instant, executing a swift kick that struck the thug's head with precision. A complex emotion flickered in Naruto's eyes as he relaxed his hands. Damn it! Why is it always you? The thug leader retreated a few steps, looking at Sasuke with discontent, exclaiming, Do you enjoy meddling so much? Naruto is my friend. Sasuke gritted his teeth and shouted, If you dare trouble him again, I will confront you every single time. TCH, that Uchiha has a few screws loose. The thug spat and, with a defeated air, led his underlings away. Naruto discreetly formed a cross seal, signaling a shadow clone that looked exactly like him to nod at the original before departing the scene. Sasuke, you look so cool. That is the genius Uchiha Sasuke. I want to be friends with Sasuke-kun. Naruto, are you alright? Sasuke turned to look at Naruto, offering a kind smile. What a coincidence. We're in the same ninja class. Can you believe it? I'm in the same class as this monster. Naruto scoffed. No, I have never thought that way. Naruto is Naruto, not the nine-tails fox. It was the fox that destroyed the village, not Naruto. Sasuke firmly shook his head in denial. Naruto parted his lips, averting his gaze, and softly murmured in a voice as faint as a mosquito's buzz, What if there were a few more people like you? Sasuke, sensing Naruto had uttered something, leaned in closer. No, it's nothing. By the way, what about that other person? Naruto inquired, shaking his head. I believe her name is Sakura Haruno. Over there. Sasuke pondered for a moment before gesturing behind Naruto. Turning around, Naruto beheld a young girl with long pink hair, her forehead protector fashioned as a headband. She donned a red and white cheapao adorned with what appeared to be a family crest. Her light green eyes brimmed with the vivacity characteristic of youth, and her face and personality were quite appealing among her peers. Naruto redirected his attention His current objective was to acquire the Byakugan from the Hyūga Clan and the Sharingan from the Uchiha Clan, while other matters could be addressed later. There were indeed many ninjas from the Uchiha Clan, but if he were to seize one, it would be Sasuke's. After all, if he is so generous, wouldn't it be acceptable for him to part with an eye? Sasuke-kun. Upon spotting Sasuke, Sakura's eyes transformed into hearts, almost yearning to leap into his embrace. Now that makes our Team 7 complete. Kakashi-sensei instructed us to wait here, but he seems to have vanished. Sasuke nodded at Sakura and surveyed the surroundings. I say, don't you find it odd? Naruto raised his head, glancing at the infatuated onlookers, somewhat displeased to be stared at by so many people. So what? We are not looking at you. One of the girls retorted. Exactly. What does it matter? We are here to see Sasuke-kun, not this monster. Another chimed in. Narcissist, disgusting. You should take a good look in the mirror. This provoked a chorus of disapproval from the girls, who unleashed their disdain and aversion towards Naruto. He sighed, covering his ears with his hands, expression blank as he gazed at the sky. Enough. How is your infatuation any better than Naruto's? Have you considered Sasuke's feelings? Isn't it evident that you're making him uncomfortable? Although Sakura bore no particular fondness for Naruto, as a fellow member of their ninja class, she could not simply stand by and watch him be bullied. Naruto is my friend, not a monster. Please, stop treating him this way. Sasuke furrowed his brow and spoke with displeasure. We are all part of Konoha. Why must you belittle others to elevate yourselves? A soft chuckle escaped Naruto. How noble and grand, he remarked. Meanwhile, a group of delinquents grumbled as they strolled through an alleyway. Their conversation centered around Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto. The leader of the group viciously proclaimed that next time he would bring along his Jounin brother to confront Naruto, and if Sasuke dared to emerge, they would take him down as well. I'm afraid there won't be a next time, gentlemen. As Naruto turned the corner ahead, he sneered and gestured towards a nearby dead-end alley, saying, You wanted money, didn't you? Come and take it from me. With that, he strode into the alley, leaving the thugs exchanging glances. Finally, their leader gritted his teeth and led his men to follow. What's just a little brat? What's so great about ninjas? With so many of us, we'll make him regret crossing adults. The thug leader glared at Naruto's retreating figure, rallying his subordinates with a fierce shout. All right, beat him to death. Killing him will be avenging the Fourth Hokage. He should have died a long time ago. I truly don't understand why the Third Hokage kept him around. The underlings seemed to find their justification for confronting Naruto, each stepping into the alley with righteous indignation. Naruto halted, standing before a towering 3-meter wall. This was indeed the end of the alley. Piles of foul-smelling garbage bags accumulated here, and the silver trash can, having stood for too long, was rusted over. The air was a putrid mix of stench and iron, creating an odd atmosphere. All right, Naruto, show us the money. And maybe the uncles will spare you, the thug leader shouted, picking up a broken chair leg and aiming it at Naruto. Are you ready? Naruto slowly turned around, crimson chakra bubbles rising around him. His pupils transformed into slits, the markings on his face darkening and thickening, and his fingernails elongated, glinting like sharp blades. I'm about to feast. Monster! It's a monster! The thug leader screamed in terror, then turned to flee. However, he could not outrun Naruto. Even if this Naruto was merely a shadow clone empowered by the Nine-Tails chakra, Naruto surged forward with astonishing speed, and before the thug leader could take a step, he was already on the ground, pain radiating from his thigh. He cried out in agony and began to crawl away, desperate to escape the alley. The other subordinates witnessed their leader's leg being swiftly incapacitated and realized the imminent danger, abandoning him in their frantic attempts to flee. Don't leave me. Help me. The thug leader cried, but one by one, those who had once called him brother turned their backs, and even when he grasped one subordinate's ankle, he was disdainfully kicked away. Now you understand, don't you? This feeling of being forsaken by everyone, Naruto said, stepping on the thug leader's head with a mocking smile. But rest assured, no one will escape. Yes, yes. Kill them all, kill them all. After despair, the thug leader was left with madness. I can't be the only one to die. That's right. This is the humanity I know, Naruto retorted, pressing his foot down harder on the thug leader's head. An overwhelming surge of chakra erupted from beneath his foot, crushing the thug leader's skull into oblivion. Harnessing the force of his kick, Naruto surged forth like an arrow loosed from its bow towards those ruffians. With hands shaped like claws, he struck fiercely, leaving 5 slender crimson lines in the air that cleaved through the flesh of the thugs, their anguished cries mingling with the spattering of blood. The air, already thick with the stench of decay and iron, now bore the metallic tang of fresh blood. Thank you for the hospitality. Naruto gazed upon the lifeless bodies sprawled in pools of blood, a cruel smile gracing his lips. Is this all the chakra you possess? It pales in comparison to even a fraction of Mizuki's. It appeared that even a lowly Chunin's chakra fruit was significantly more substantial than that of an ordinary person. As Naruto felt a surge of chakra flow into his being, he listened to the conversation between Sasuke and Sakura, his mind racing with thoughts. After dispatching the thugs, his shadow clone vanished into the alley, having consumed the chakra fruit, which was subsequently accounted for in Naruto's own reservoir. The Book of Dimensions had informed him that all experiences and enhancements endured by shadow clones would ultimately revert to the original. Thus, Naruto trained in ninjutsu through his shadow clones, effectively doubling his training progress. With his vast chakra reserves, he could create as many as 2,000 shadow clones, enabling him to train at a rate 2,000 times that of an ordinary ninja. This terrifying speed of training was enough to surpass any ninja labeled as a genius. Why hasn't Kakashi-sensei arrived yet? Sakura complained, hands on her hips, growing impatient. Perhaps he has been delayed by unforeseen matters, Sasuke suggested, patting her shoulder. Sakura's cheeks flushed slightly as she nodded in agreement. After a few words from Sakura, the onlookers dispersed, leaving only the three of them at the intersection, along with passers-by. Naruto stood silently, arms crossed, his gaze fixed upon the sky above Ichiraka Ramen, lost in thought. Sasuke attempted to strike up a conversation with Naruto, but it was evident that Naruto was disinterested in chatting, leaving Sasuke to engage in sporadic dialogue with Sakura. A gentle breeze wafted through, prompting Sasuke to glance up at the rooftop of Ichiraku Ramen. There, he spotted a man with short white hair, clad in a black mask and wearing a green Jonin vest, holding a novel titled Intimate Paradise. The man looked down at Team 7, scratching the back of his head, and remarked, "Well, you all are quite early, aren't you? The appointed time has long since passed." Sakura responded with dissatisfaction, "It's already past the agreed time." "Oh, but a true ninja is one who can endure." "I'm merely testing your patience," the man chuckled, descending from the rooftop after clearing his throat. "Clearly, your tardiness is due to laziness. A girl being so aggressive is rather unappealing, don't you think, Sasuke?" he teased. Sakura turned to Sasuke, noticing him staring blankly at Naruto. Naruto had been looking in the direction where Kakashi-sensei was about to appear. Did he somehow anticipate Kakashi-sensei's arrival from that spot? Or was it merely coincidence? Sasuke pondered, astonished. "Is something the matter?" Naruto withdrew his gaze and asked Sasuke. "No, nothing at all." Sasuke shook his head and smiled. This was certainly not a coincidence. Naruto's dimensional book could foresee events that would unfold the following day, including Kakashi's tardiness. Now that everyone had gathered, let us commence the first training session of Team 7. Kakashi cast a glance at Naruto, his eyes revealing a hint of complexity. "All right," the trio replied in unison. Kakashi led the three members of Team 7 to an expansive grassy field, encircled by lush green trees. At the center of the field stood three wooden stumps, each about a person's height, evidently designated for the training of ninjutsu. Kakashi stretched lazily and instructed the three to line up horizontally before him. He then produced a bell from his pocket. This training is called the bell snatching exercise. Your task is to seize this bell to be deemed qualified. Kakashi jingled the silver bell, its red string glimmering. Should you fail to obtain it, you will be stripped of your status as ninjas and sent back to the academy for further schooling. What? Go back to the ninja academy? Sasuke and Sakura exclaimed in unison. Only Naruto remained rooted in place, silently fixating on the bell in Kakashi's hand. If you wish to avoid returning to the classroom with children who have only recently learned to walk, then exert all your effort to snatch this bell, Kakashi said, evidently pleased with Sasuke and Sakura's reactions. He then opened Intimate Paradise and lowered his gaze to the pages. Now, let the training begin. Sasuke swallowed hard, gritted his teeth, and charged towards Kakashi. With his head lowered, he believed he was out of Kakashi's line of sight. Upon reaching Kakashi, who still had his head bowed, Sasuke leaped high and delivered a sidekick aimed at Kakashi's head. However, Kakashi raised the hand holding the bell and effortlessly seized Sasuke's calf, flinging him away. Sasuke adjusted his position mid-air, bracing himself against the ground with his arm, executing a backflip to land on his feet. The force of Kakashi's throw had been so great that he stumbled back several steps before regaining his balance. So powerful! Sakura sensed a tinge of danger. What's the matter? Aren't you going to attack? Kakashi asked, glancing at Naruto and Sakura. Though the outcome remains unchanged, are you unwilling to even attempt? Don't underestimate me. Sakura dashed towards Kakashi, her right fist clenched tightly, and struck out towards his face. Kakashi, discerning the distinct energy in her punch, did not handle it as he had with Sasuke. He recognized that her physique was different, and catching this punch while protecting the bell posed considerable risk. Kakashi sidestepped Sakura's blow, then executed a sidekick aimed at her knee. She was caught off guard, and upon impact, lost her balance and fell to the ground. In a swift motion, Sasuke utilized the body flicker technique to appear behind Kakashi. This time, he understood that Kakashi's martial prowess far surpassed his own, so he resolved to unleash his signature skill. In the fleeting moment that Kakashi turned around, Sasuke had completed the final hand sign for the Great Fireball technique. He raised 2 fingers to his lips and subsequently unleashed a medium-sized, fiery orange sphere from his mouth. At such a close range, it was impossible for even Kakashi to evade this assault. Boom. The Great Fireball erupted, and Sasuke swiftly embraced Sakura Haruno, pulling her away from the blast radius of the explosion. That was a close call. As the smoke cleared, Kakashi placed Intimate Paradise into his pocket and remarked to Sasuke, "You almost had me there. Was your back turned to prevent me from seeing your hand signs?" Sasuke, somewhat begrudgingly, clenched his teeth and replied, "I already anticipated that I would employ the Great Fireball, which is why you countered with your own to nullify my attack. Your reflexes are impressive. Rather than seizing the opportunity to launch a second assault while I was occupied, you prioritized the safety of your companion. A wise choice." Kakashi chuckled. "It seems I must take this more seriously. Sasuke, my apologies for being a hindrance," Sakura said, a hint of guilt in her voice. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have had the chance to ambush him." "Don't worry, I have a few tricks up my sleeve," Sasuke responded gently, shaking his head. He then looked up at Kakashi, his obsidian eyes shimmering with intensity. "Sharingan," he declared. "Naruto, aren't you planning to join in?" Even Sakura, a girl, has charged forward. Kakashi turned towards Naruto and inquired, "Join in? You mean to attack with a shadow clone?" Naruto raised an eyebrow. The group momentarily paused. Kakashi astonished that Naruto could discern his shadow clone, while Sasuke and Sakura were taken aback that their arduous efforts had merely been against a clone. "Sasuke, Sakura, I have a plan," Naruto said as he approached Kakashi, his eyes blazing like torches. "Follow my lead. There is only one way to seize the bell's collaboration." Indeed, collaboration was the sole condition for success as dictated by the Book of Dimensions. To earn Kakashi Hataki's acknowledgement, they must obtain the bells through united effort. Even if Naruto were to unleash the Ninetales chakra to create over 2,000 clones to contend with Kakashi, without his recognition, their subsequent strategy would falter. "All right. I'm with you." Sasuke nodded without hesitation. "Me too," Sakura responded, regaining her footing. Though she hesitated momentarily, she ultimately agreed. As Naruto indicated, defeating a Genin with far superior strength required the synergy of teamwork, and the greatest hindrance to collaboration was doubt. In this moment, they could only place their trust in Naruto. Kakashi observed Naruto with intrigue, contemplating that perhaps the teacher's child had inherited a similar tactical intelligence. Multi-shadow clone technique. Naruto inhaled deeply, forming a cross-hand sign, and 5 Narutos materialized before Kakashi, all charging at him with a fervent shout. "Are you relying on sheer numbers? But you already know I'm a shadow clone. Why attack me in such a manner?" Though Kakashi was puzzled, the current offensive left him little time for contemplation. Naruto and his companions attacked from 4 directions, and Kakashi swiftly evaded their strikes, executing a series of graceful counterattacks that soon dispatched all of Naruto's shadow clones. Unlike Sasuke's clean and efficient fighting style, Naruto's strikes were cumbersome, akin to a desperate onslaught, posing little threat beyond their sheer numbers. "Wait for..." Kakashi suddenly recognized the issue. He quickly lowered his head, noticing a circle of fine silver threads scattered on the ground, with himself positioned at the center of the circle. Recalling the locations of the 4 shadow clones, it dawned on him that their intention was not to attack, but to ensnare him with the silver threads. With a swift motion, a sound of friction emanated from the threads as Naruto, holding the other end, yanked them forcefully. The threads tightened around Kakashi's feet, causing him to tumble to the ground. Sakura dashed towards Kakashi from the side, raising her fist to strike him. Unable to move from his position on the ground, Kakashi was struck squarely by Sakura, dissipating into a cloud of white smoke. Indeed, it was a shadow clone. The bell in his hand was also a transformation jutsu. Sakura remarked as she saw the bell fall to the ground, transforming into a branch. However, that little yellow book was genuine, Naruto chimed in. picking up Ika Paradise and grinning mischievously. "Kakashi-sensei, if you don't show yourself soon, we might have to take action," he declared. The surroundings fell into silence, save for the sound of the wind rustling through the green grass, as if only the three of them remained in the training ground. "Oh, I understand Kakashi-sensei's response now," Naruto exclaimed, tossing Ika Paradise high into the air. He then formed a standard cross seal with his hands. "Sasuke, attack." Sasuke swiftly performed hand seals, bringing 2 fingers to his mouth and unleashing a medium-sized fireball of orange flames towards the airborne Ika Paradise. As the fireball raced towards it with a crackling sound, a figure suddenly burst forth from the thicket. The figure deftly grasped Ika Paradise, evading Sasuke's fireball just as it was about to make contact. "At last, the real one," Sasuke shouted excitedly. "What a cunning trick to devise. In a sense, it suits a ninja perfectly." Kakashi gritted his teeth, stuffing Ika Paradise into his vest pocket, muttering to himself, "This is a commemorative edition that has just been published. If it were to burn, I wouldn't recover for half a year." Naruto gestured to Sakura and Kakashi, and they understood without words, adjusting their positions based on Naruto's location. Kakashi noticed 2 of Naruto's clones appearing on the ground where he landed, evidently intending to seize him as soon as he was vulnerable. Although this approach may seem somewhat excessive, it serves as a means to gauge their potential limits. Kakashi has acknowledged Naruto and his companion's ability to execute such a coordinated effort. For a team still in its initial stages of synergy, this is quite commendable. Had he refrained from employing such an extreme ninjutsu, they would surely have been able to seize the bells. Kakashi removed the forehead protector obscuring his right eye, revealing a Sharingan with 3 tomo beneath it. A cacophony of sounds emanated from his right hand as he shaped it into a blade-like form, concentrating chakra into his palm, which transformed into a vivid blue lightning bolt. The sound of the lightning resonated as though a multitude of birds were singing, even cleaving through the very air around them. Raikiri. At the moment of his descent, Kakashi swung his right hand, and the blue lightning sliced through Naruto's 2 shadow clones, reducing them to wisps of white smoke that vanished into thin air. "All right, the 3 of them should be sufficiently intimidated by this technique. I shall declare them competent." As Kakashi dispelled Raikiri and turned around, Naruto's figure appeared before him. Red chakra bubbles surged from Naruto's body, and under the influence of the Nine Tails chakra, he appeared quite formidable. Is that the chakra of the Nine Tails? Has he managed to harness a fraction of its power? Kakashi mused. Though he showed no hesitation in his movements, Naruto launched several punches at his face, all of which were deftly evaded or blocked. With each step, Kakashi retreated. Sakura and Sasuke advanced closer. Under the enhancement of the Nine Tails chakra, Naruto's agility and speed positioned him as the only member of Team 7 capable of keeping pace with Kakashi, at least in terms of taijutsu. Bang, 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 boom. After exchanging several blows, Naruto successfully parried Kakashi's punch, seizing Kakashi's right arm with both hands and forcefully pulling him down, dragging Kakashi into a ground combat scenario. With his right arm ensnared, Kakashi found himself unable to perform any hand seals, and the two remained locked in a stalemate for several seconds, during which Kakashi sensed a wave of intense heat beside him. A series of small fireballs flew towards Kakashi in an erratic formation. It was Sasuke's fire release, Phoenix Fire technique. A sly smirk crossed Naruto's face as he twisted his body, unleashing an explosive kick powered by formidable chakra toward Kakashi's abdomen. As he delivered the kick, he released his grip on Kakashi's right arm, using the recoil to perform a backflip. Caught off guard by the sudden blow, Kakashi was propelled backwards, directly into the path of Sasuke's Phoenix Fire technique. Did he anticipate this? Kakashi braced himself against the ground, sliding for a moment before turning to stand upright, swiftly forming hand seals. Just as the fireballs reached him, he slammed his hands onto the ground. Doton, Doriheki. A massive earthen wall erupted before Kakashi, intercepting most of the fireballs, while some of the Phoenix Fire struck beside him, creating small craters from the explosions. Black smoke billowed from these pits, obscuring much of Kakashi's vision. Swish. A pink figure burst forth from the black smoke, seizing the bell clutched tightly in Kakashi's right hand. Naruto! Sakura shouted. Here I come. Naruto charged towards Kakashi, accompanied by dozens of clones, leaving Kakashi surrounded. With no means to evade Naruto, he attempted to free himself from Sakura's grasp, but she held on to the bell with her other hand tenaciously. Reluctant to kick Sakura, a girl, Kakashi hesitated, but before he could act, Naruto and his clones had already restrained his limbs. Sasuke, Naruto called out. Sasuke swiftly infused chakra into his feet, scaling the earthen wall, before leaping down and executing a mid-air split kick aimed at Kakashi's head. "Stop. You've all passed," Kakashi declared, unwilling to harm Naruto and Sakura, who had physically restrained him. Sasuke quickly redirected his attack, allowing his leg to graze Kakashi's face as it descended from the side. "Really?" Sakura, having closed her eyes in anticipation of a hit, had intended to hold on regardless of Kakashi's actions. But now it seemed that this masked teacher was far gentler than she had anticipated. "Indeed, you have all qualified. As Naruto stated, the most vital aspect of a ninja team is cooperation, and you have exemplified this, thus you were deemed successful." Kakashi sighed with relief and added, "Starting tomorrow, I will take you on ninja missions, so prepare well. Ensure you bring essential items such as shuriken and kunai." "Tomorrow? What about today?" Naruto, still gripping Kakashi's neck, inquired. "Today? Today, I shall take you to Ichiraku Ramen." "Let go, Naruto, I can hardly breathe." Behind a white curtain emblazoned with the characters for Ichiraku Ramen, Kakashi's group engaged in casual conversation while awaiting their meal, the aroma of the ingredients wafting through the establishment, accompanied by the sound of the chef skillfully handling his ladle. Naruto was even beginning to feel drowsy. "Kakashi-sensei, how did you acquire that Sharingan?" Sasuke suddenly recalled the moment Kakashi unleashed Raikiri and asked, puzzled. Logically, only members of the Uchiha Clan can awaken their exclusive bloodline limit. Yet you are a Hitaki, aren't you? At this, even Naruto's interest was piqued. Although the Book of Dimensions could foresee events of the following day, it was not omniscient and could only present a segment for Naruto to ponder, leaving both he and Sasuke unaware of the true circumstances surrounding Kakashi's possession of the Sharingan. "Your meal is served. Enjoy." The chef and his daughter presented 4 bowls of ramen, each tailored to the individual preferences of the group. "Let us eat," Kakashi said, his gaze dimming momentarily before he smiled. Ultimately, Kakashi was unable to reveal the true nature of his Sharingan. He took Team 7 to procure ninja tools, confirming each member's proficiency with their respective equipment, and instructed them to gather early at the training ground the following day, as he would be attending a Hokage meeting to accept missions. "As long as Kakashi-sensei doesn't arrive late, everything will be fine," Sakura remarked, puffing her cheeks in dissatisfaction. "Rest assured, I definitely won't be late this time," Kakashi responded, scratching his head with an awkward smile. In the ensuing days, Team 7 diligently undertook missions assigned by the Hokage's office. However, the trio grew increasingly discontented, as these tasks predominantly involved mundane errands, such as watching over shops or searching for lost kittens and puppies. Outrageously, one mission even involved stealing laundry left out to dry. Not only were the rewards meager, but the tasks themselves were also exceedingly tedious. Unsurprisingly, Kakashi ultimately rejected the last mission. One morning, as was customary, the 3 arrived at the training ground. And as they had anticipated, Kakashi was already seated on a training post, awaiting their arrival. "Kakashi-sensei, what mission do we have today?" Sakura inquired, her tone laden with disappointment. "Please tell me it's not another pet search. I'm tired of these low-level missions." Sasuke and Naruto nodded in agreement, echoing Sakura's sentiments. "This time, the 3rd Hokage has entrusted us with a B-rank mission," Kakashi replied with a smile. "Rest assured, it's not one of those cat and dog assignments. The reward is quite generous." "What is the mission?" Sasuke inquired, his ears perked up, oblivious to Naruto's expression of eager anticipation beside him. "We are to escort a bridge builder from the Land of Waves. There may be dangerous battles ahead, so ensure your ninja tools are prepared," Kakashi stated. "Fear not. I will protect you." This sounds far more reliable than chasing after cats, Sakura and Sasuke exclaimed with excitement. Naruto, too, felt a surge of enthusiasm, though he concealed it, as his aspiration was to become a ninja with the ice-release bloodline, akin to Haku. "Are we really protecting this drunken old man?" Team 7 met a middle-aged man with a square canvas backpack at the gates of Konoha. According to the 3rd Hokage, this man was indeed the bridge builder they were to escort. The bridge builder, clutching a bottle of sake, scowled at Naruto's remark. "I'm only 40 years old. I am not an old man, and I am not drunk." Sakura pinched her nose in exasperation, shaking her head. "Let us just focus on successfully escorting him to the Land of Waves, okay? We can endure for now, Naruto." "What kind of attitude is that? I'm your employer," the bridge builder huffed. "And my name is Tazuna, not some drunken old man." "All right, from this moment on, the mission officially begins. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, you will form a protective perimeter around Tazuna to prevent any surprise attacks," Kakashi instructed, shaking his head at the synchronized expressions of distaste on Naruto and Sakura's faces. Stop looking so disdainful and just follow my orders. Thus commenced the inaugural mission of Class 7. According to the map, they were to traverse a mountain path before arriving at the southern boat dock of the village, from which they would sail to the border between the land of fire and the land of water, subsequently making their way on foot to the hidden mist village in the land of water. Only upon reaching this destination could the mission be deemed complete. The journey was not short, implying that this endeavor might extend over several days. Naruto, through the use of the Book of Dimensions, glimpsed a fragment of the future. After their encounter with Zabuza Momochi, they would be confronted by a masked ninja, ostensibly there for assassination purposes, but in reality aiming to rescue Zabuza, this ninja being Haku. After saving Zabuza, Haku would awaken Naruto, who lay sleeping in the forest, in his true form. This period would present Naruto with the opportune moment to eliminate Haku and acquire his bloodline limit, the ice release. However, Naruto remained uncertain about what might transpire before their meeting with Zabuza. Sasuke, the weather is quite pleasant today, Sakura Haruno suddenly remarked. As a girl lacking in romantic experience, she sought to ignite conversation in this intimate setting with her crush, despite her approach being rather cliché. Huh? Oh, indeed, Sasuke replied, embodying the archetype of the oblivious male, effortlessly dismissing Sakura's romantic inclinations and effectively extinguishing the dialogue. The five travelers walked along a path flanked by trees and underbrush, enveloped in a renewed silence. Do they often behave this way? Tazuna inquired, raising an eyebrow as he leaned closer to Naruto, speaking in a hushed tone. How would I know? Naruto replied. Oh, I see. You are the quintessential third wheel. An 800-watt one at that. Are you not even slightly interested in such a charming girl? Are you not afraid of becoming entangled in a horrific love triangle? What do you mean? I like Sakura. Sakura likes Sasuke, and then Sasuke likes me, or something along those lines. Oh, that is indeed terrifying and dreadful, Tazuna remarked, taking a sip of his drink and letting out a loud belch. Suddenly, Naruto halted, pulling a shuriken from the pouch at his waist. Of course, there is noise. Would it not be strange if my loud belch went unnoticed? Why do you appear so proud about such matters? Swish, swish, swish. Several heavy iron chains erupted from the underbrush on either side of the path, ensnaring the unsuspecting Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura gasped, momentarily frozen, before shouting a warning, be careful. No sooner had she spoken than two mist ninjas clad in iron armor leapt forth, wielding weaponry resembling flails, and viciously struck at Kakashi, tearing him apart into fragments. Sakura stood frozen in place, paralyzed by disbelief. No way. Even someone as strong as Kakashi-sensei could be swish. After dispatching Kakashi, the mist ninjas set their sights on Tazuna. One of the ninjas charged at Tazuna, aiming to bludgeon his head with the iron weapon. Am I invisible? Naruto exclaimed as he swiftly pulled Tazuna behind him, evading the ninja's blow. The mist ninja remained silent as he swiftly raised his iron weapon to launch another attack, this time targeting Naruto Uzumaki, who stood protectively in front of Tazuna. Whoosh! The iron tool struck Naruto's head, and with a resounding poof, his body transformed into a cloud of white smoke and vanished. Hiss! A kunai pierced the mist ninja's skull, causing him to spurt blood in disbelief as he turned around, only to find a mocking Naruto standing behind him. Seemingly convinced that the mist ninja was not yet finished, Naruto forcefully twisted the kunai, obliterating the ninja's brain tissue, with brain matter and blood bursting forth. With a powerful kick, Naruto sent him crashing to the ground. He had sensed the commotion earlier and, upon drawing his kunai, had released a shadow clone. While the clone distracted Tazuna, Naruto had cleverly maneuvered behind the mist ninja, exploiting a blind spot in the ninja's field of vision to execute a swift and lethal strike. How composed. It hardly seemed fitting for someone of his age. Tazuna watched Naruto's clean and efficient kill with a twinge of fear. Another mist ninja, seeing that Tazuna was under Naruto's protection, decided to attack Sakura Haruno, who stood frozen in place. As the iron weapon hurtled toward her, Sakura felt a surge of panic urging her to move, yet her body remained paralyzed by fear. I don't want to die. Tears streamed down Sakura's cheeks. Bang! Sasuke leaped from behind Sakura, delivering a powerful kick that sent the iron weapon crashing to the ground, sparing Sakura from harm. Stay away from my comrades. He struck the mist ninja's jaw with an elbow, then raised his right foot high, knocking the ninja to the ground. Activating his Sharingan, he prepared to throw a kunai at the recovering mist ninja. However, in a moment of hesitation, he instinctively misthrew it, unable to bear the thought of his kunai piercing through the mist ninja's head. This fleeting compassion granted the mist ninja an opening. He lunged forward with his iron weapon, aiming a fierce thrust at Sasuke's abdomen. That was a close call. A figure appeared between Sasuke and Sakura, stepping on the mist ninja's hand that grasped the weapon. With his right hand, he conjured a Raikiri aimed directly at the mist ninja's head. "Kakashi-sensei!" Sasuke and Sakura exclaimed in unison, their faces lighting up with surprise. A substitution technique? Naruto glanced toward the spot where Kakashi had previously engaged the enemy. Now only a pile of bound wooden logs remained. "Are you two alright?" Kakashi smiled at them and then turned to Naruto, saying, "Well done, Naruto." "Yes." Naruto tore off some blue fabric from the mist ninja's body, using it to clean the blood from his kunai, nodding in acknowledgement. "I'm fine, Kakashi-sensei. I didn't protect Sakura well. I'm sorry." Sasuke, recalling his moment of weakness, lowered his head and spoke softly. "I feel utterly useless, just now. I couldn't even muster the courage to act and ended up in tears." Sakura Haruno lamented, her voice tinged with self-reproach. "Am I really unsuitable to be a ninja?" "Indeed. You are unfit. Please, do us a favor and leave." Naruto silently scoffed in his mind. "Everyone requires a process of growth. Keep today's events in your heart. And during the next battle, give it your all." Kakashi reassured them with a gentle smile, ruffling their hair. "Yes. Kakashi raised his hand and approached Naruto. But as he reached out to pat Naruto's head, Naruto swiftly swatted his hand away. "No need for that," Naruto replied, crossing his arms defiantly. "Let us move forward. We don't want to be ensnared by chains again." "True enough," Kakashi said, taken aback for a moment before he nodded with a wry smile. "However, I fear we cannot proceed any further." "Why not?" "These two ninjas are clearly assassins, their rank likely no less than Ch. If it were just the two of them, it might be manageable, but I suspect we will encounter more formidable assassins ahead, possibly even J level, and not just one." Kakashi spoke softly. "This escort mission has escalated to an A rank, or perhaps even higher, a challenge unsuitable for a team of Genin on their first mission outside the village. The best course of action is to retrace our steps and request a more experienced ninja team to take over. No way. If we turn back simply because the path is arduous, we might as well never move again." Naruto frowned. This task is undoubtedly difficult, but it is also an opportunity for testing ourselves. If we can't overcome this, our future as ninjas will only grow increasingly constrained. After hearing Naruto's words, Sakura, who had been mentally wavering, gritted her teeth and agreed with Naruto, expressing her willingness to continue with the mission. Sasuke felt similarly, as a member of the Uchiha Clan. Abandoning a mission midway would be too shameful. "I never expected you to utter such inspiring words," Kakashi remarked with a smile as he regarded Naruto. "Very well. We shall proceed with the mission, but from this moment forth, each of you must maintain 100% vigilance. Those assassins could reappear at any moment." "Do I have to as well?" Tazuna pointed to himself. "Of course. Yes." The three responded in unison. The enthusiasm of children is truly contagious. "Though I suppose I am still a child myself," Naruto thought with a smirk, eagerly anticipating the encounter with the ninja known as Zabuza Momochi. In the ensuing journey, Team 7 and Tazuna encountered no further assassination attempts. Upon reaching the town, they had lunch before heading to the helm of a ferry, embarking on an open boat towards the border between the Land of Fire and the Land of Waves, specifically to the Hidden Mist Village. "By the way, why would ninjas of such caliber be sent to assassinate you?" Kakashi inquired, feeling rather bored as he gazed at the dense fog with Tazuna. Now a total of 6 people aboard the open boat. "You're just a bridge builder, right? Are you familiar with the Kato Company?" Dasna leaned against the wooden planks at the stern of the ship and quietly inquired. "You know, it is a maritime company, right? Its president is a person of considerable wealth, even within the entire ninja world." Kakashi nodded and replied, "On the surface, he manages a shipping enterprise, but in reality, he clandestinely exploits the mafia and ninjas to smuggle contraband and illicit substances, seeking to control the nation and violent organizations with his wealth and influence." Dasna took a sip of his drink and, with a slurred tongue, remarked, "He uses his vast fortune to procure women and gifts." Having monopolized the maritime traffic of the Land of Waves, for an island nation like the Land of Waves, controlling maritime routes equates to controlling the entirety of the country, its wealth, politics, and populace. "Oh, and women too, haha. And you happen to be a bridge builder. Particularly one constructing bridges in the Land of Waves. If your bridge connects the Land of Waves with other nations, he stands to lose his profits and cannot monopolize the resources, correct?" Kakashi nodded, grasping Dasna's implication. "How can this be? Is this not a form of dictatorial control? Does the feudal lord of the Land of Waves not intend to intervene?" Sasuke clenched his fist and murmured, "Intervene?" He has long been preoccupied with women, enjoying himself far from the land of waves. You must understand, this nation is now treated as a commodity, sold to Kaido. Dasna shook his head and said, "My journey this time is essentially a death sentence. If I do not return, my family will be in peril." How can this be? Haruno Sakura stood frozen. Her fists clenched tightly as she listened to Dasna's words. As for the reward, it will be given to you upon disembarking. There is no need for you to accompany me to the end. Dasna chuckled. I apologize. I am unsure if this constitutes task completion for you ninjas. We'll escort you to your family, Naruto interjected. At least you should see them one last time. Thank you. Dasna paused for a moment, then smiled. I initially thought you were the type of ninja who would take the payment and abandon all responsibility. Do not misunderstand. My encounter with Zabuza will be inevitable if I do not see you home. Your ability to reunite with your family is of no concern to me. Naruto thought disdainfully to himself. Is there truly no way to save the land of waves? Sasuke voiced his internal conflict. Indeed, simply eliminate Kaido, and the matter will be resolved, Naruto replied with a grin. He will undoubtedly be surrounded by numerous ninjas for protection. How could we possibly defeat Kaido with just the four of us? Sakura whispered. Moreover, should Kaido be killed, we would be pursued by his enemies. The group fell into silence. Before long, the ship came to a halt, and the somewhat hard-of-hearing ferryman leaned the oars against the side of the vessel and announced, Esteemed guests, we have arrived. Ah, very well, we should depart, Kakashi said, standing up after settling the fare. Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, let us go. The five disembarked onto the land, enveloped in a delicate veil of mist, and the four members of Team 7 felt an extraordinary sensation. As if they had stepped into a realm of enchantment, everything imbued with a hazy beauty akin to a sensuous dancer from the Middle East, partially veiled. Let us proceed. I shall guide you to my abode. Dasna, fully aware of his impending doom, led the way, having resolved not to evade his fate any longer. Yet, Naruto and the others steadfastly remained by his side, offering him a final semblance of warmth. How I long to share a meal with my family, Dasna mused inwardly. After a brief passage, Kakashi and Naruto discerned an unsettling change in their surroundings. The fog thickened ominously. Kakashi halted, barring the path of his companions. There is someone nearby? Sasuke and Sakura tensed at once, while Naruto donned an eager grin, retrieving a black kunai from his pouch. Truly worthy of the title copy ninja, Kakashi-sensei. A voice resonated from a short distance away. Following the sound, they beheld a man, his height comparable to Kakashi's, standing against a tree. His forehead protector was askew, contrasting with Kakashi's, and his lower face and neck were tightly bound in white bandages. You are Momochi Zabuza, a rogue ninja from the Hidden Mist Village. One of the 7 ninja swordsmen, are you not? Kakashi exclaimed, taken aback upon recognizing him. To think you were dispatched, Kaido must genuinely care for Dasna. Given your tone, it seems Dasna has divulged everything to you. Hence, if you and your 3 young companions turn and depart, I shall let you go. Otherwise, Kakashi, you may survive. But the fate of those 3 little ones is far from certain. Zabuza's gaze shifted to Kakashi and his companions as he brandished a towering executioner's blade. That will suffice. You should leave. Dasna, acutely aware of Zabuza's infamy, shook his head and murmured, You have done enough. I thank you. Do not utter such words. Naruto stepped forward, addressing Zabuza, and turned to Dasna. Haven't you yet reunited with your family? To perish without even sharing a meal is simply unjust. Child. Being a hero comes at a cost, Zabuza replied. Hero? No, I did not come to play the hero. A surge of crimson chakra erupted from Naruto, his voice resonating with an intimidating timbre. I am here to defeat you. Zabuza narrowed his eyes, swiftly forming hand seals, causing the fog in the vicinity to thicken further. Kakashi lifted his forehead protector, activating his Sharingan, while Sasuke followed suit, their vision sharper than that of Naruto and Sakura. Yet, the density of the fog rendered clarity elusive. Multiple shadow clone technique. Naruto formed a cross seal, and with the explosive release of Kyuubi chakra, he summoned an astonishing number of shadow clones without hesitation. Is there any way to disperse this fog? Sasuke inquired, back to back with Sakura. I doubt he will grant us the time to clear it. As soon as Sasuke's words fell, Zabuza emerged from the mist, wielding his beheading sword and charging directly at Sasuke with a swift slash. Reacting quickly, Sasuke and Sakura sprang apart. Sasuke evaded the strike by sidestepping and then lunged forward, thrusting his kunai towards Zabuza's abdomen. Zabuza, quick on his feet, seized Sasuke's right hand with his left, and swung his sword downwards once more. Meanwhile, Sakura took a deep breath, quickly aimed, and hurled her kunai towards Zabuza's head. If Zabuza did not halt his assault to defend himself, this kunai would surely pierce his skull. Even the mightiest ninja struggles to survive a fatal wound without healing abilities. Yet, astonishingly, Zabuza chose not to defend. He continued to strike at Sasuke, while Sakura's kunai struck true, hitting Zabuza squarely in the head. With a splat, Zabuza's body transformed into a puddle, collapsing on the ground. It was merely a water clone, Sasuke exclaimed loudly. Simultaneously, Kakashi and Naruto encountered Zabuza's assault from another direction. And those two Zabuza were also water clones. Naruto kept close to Tazuna, aware that this man was crucial to their mission and needed to be protected at all costs. The four of them dispatched more and more of Zabuza's clones, but each was just a water clone, under the influence of the hidden mist technique. They struggled to locate Zabuza's true form, repeatedly defeating the clones without success. Naruto and his companions surmised that Zabuza intended to wear them down using his water clones, depleting their chakra and stamina. It seemed that under these circumstances, there was only one course of action left. Naruto sensed that continuing like this was futile. He could not afford to reveal his trump card just yet. Therefore, the only way to find Zabuza was through a singular method. Naruto formed the cross-hand sign, preparing to unleash thousands of shadow clones to saturate the area in search of Zabuza. However, just then, a figure dashed past him, racing towards Kakashi. Kakashi! Naruto exclaimed, turning to shout at Kakashi, who had just dispatched a water clone and had yet to realize Zabuza was behind him. With a cold smirk, Zabuza spoke. How amusing, Kakashi. He extended his right hand, and a spherical water orb erupted from his palm, ensnaring the weary Kakashi within. Kakashi's hand was trapped inside the water sphere, which Zabuza maintained by infusing it with chakra, rendering it completely sealed and preventing Kakashi from breathing. Water release, water prison technique. The three members of Team 7 and Tazuna gazed in astonishment at Zabuza and Kakashi, their hearts filled with shock. The only one with strength equal to Zabuza was now trapped, leaving the three inexperienced ninjas to decide their next move. Choose wisely, Zabuza taunted. I cannot move while using the water prison technique. You may take this opportunity to flee or choose to attack me to rescue Kakashi. As the formidable Zabuza coldly declared, I must remind you that there is no air within the water prison. Kakashi can survive at most for a minute. Therefore, if you do not escape or disrupt my technique within that minute, I shall take your lives. Panic washed over Sakura as she felt the chilling intent to kill emanating from Zabuza, like a blade pressed against her throat, rendering her immobile. Even her grip on the kunai trembled slightly. Sasuke bit his lip, forcing himself to regain clarity. Succumbing to this murderous aura would render any subsequent attack ineffective against Zabuza. If he surrendered in his heart, victory would be utterly unattainable. I have a plan, Naruto announced, shaking off the water from his hands and directing his gaze towards Zabuza. Just like during training, follow my lead. There was no trace of fear in his eyes. Was it bravery or mere recklessness? Zabuza sneered. 55 seconds remain. I understand. Sasuke and Sakura responded in unison, only then realizing they had subconsciously begun to rely on Naruto. The notion that trusting him was sufficient had taken root deep within them. Naruto signaled Sasuke to attack, a gesture well taught in the Ninja Academy. Though Naruto's academic performance had been less than stellar, he retained this life-saving knowledge vividly. Sasuke nodded and charged towards Zabuza with utmost speed. Sakura, support him, Naruto instructed. Yes, Sakura replied, suppressing her inner fear. No matter how terrified she felt, she could not allow Sasuke to face such a terrifying adversary alone. It appeared that the ability to command was not exclusive to Kakashi. This young boy also possessed a certain strategic acumen and an inspiring presence. Zabuza formed a hand seal with one hand, summoning two more water clones beside him. The clone swiftly retrieved kunai from his pouch and lunged at Sasuke and Sakura, intent on delivering fatal blows. Sasuke rapidly formed several seals, unleashing a barrage of small fireballs. As he had suspected, the agility of the water clones was impressive. A larger fireball would be easily evaded. But the Phoenix Fire technique would at least strike true to take one down. Now, only one water clone remained, rushing towards Sasuke, kunai poised to strike at his head. Utilizing his Sharingan, Sasuke sidestepped the attack and landed an elbow strike to the clone's abdomen, causing it to dissolve into a puddle of clear water upon impact. However, to Sasuke's astonishment, another water clone emerged behind the first. Zabuza had summoned 3 clones in total. Time was running out. Sasuke watched as the third clone picked up the kunai dropped by the first and lunged fiercely at his abdomen. He felt the grim specter of death looming over him, the scythe poised to strike, leaving him powerless. Swish! The third water clone suddenly transformed into a pool of water on the ground, and the figure of Haruno Sakura emerged behind the water clone, gasping for breath. Her kunai still bore traces of water, indicating that she had just launched a surprise attack on the water clone to rescue Sasuke. Sasuke! Naruto hurled AF shuriken towards Sasuke, who swiftly caught it and unfurled it. The shuriken spun, producing a thunderous sound as it sliced through the air. It became evident that with Zabuza's chakra reserves, continuously utilizing the hidden mist technique and summoning so many water clones was already quite taxing. To conserve chakra for maintaining the water prison technique, he could no longer release additional water clones, which was why Naruto had urged them to engage first to deplete Zabuza's resources. Sasuke smiled knowingly and launched the F-Ma shuriken, which erupted with a sound that sliced through the air, hurtling towards Zabuza. Just as Sasuke had deduced, Zabuza indeed lacked the excess chakra to create more water clones. However, as an experienced ninja, he was well aware of how to counter a weapon like the F-Ma shuriken. He deftly sidestepped the shuriken and, at the moment it was about to whiz past him, reached out to grasp the central hole of the shuriken. "It is time for you to reap the consequences of your actions," Zabuza declared, preparing to throw the shuriken back. Suddenly, another F-Ma shuriken came hurtling towards him. Reacting swiftly, he leaped into the air, allowing the second shuriken to pass beneath him. Bang! The second shuriken abruptly transformed into a cloud of white smoke mid-flight, revealing Uzumaki Naruto. More precisely, it was Naruto who had used the transformation technique to become the F-Ma shuriken. "You dizzy bandaged fool, prepare to pay for your arrogance," Naruto exclaimed, retrieving a kunai from his pouch and, overcoming his disorientation, hurled it at Zabuza's head. Zabuza was momentarily stunned and instinctively recoiled, the kunai grazing past his nose. At that moment, his right hand emerged from the confines of the water prison technique, signifying its imminent dissolution, and the water sphere shattered in an instant. "You little brat!" Zabuza shouted, raising the F-Ma shuriken with the intent to strike Naruto down, who lay on the ground, unable to rise in time to defend against the impending attack. Just like Sensei, he thought. The F-Ma shuriken ceased its rotation as Zabuza turned to Kakashi, who had locked the blade of the shuriken with his arm, forcing it to a halt. "I will not allow you to harm my students any longer, Zabuza Momochi." With that, Kakashi delivered a punch to Zabuza's face, causing the latter to discard the shuriken and leap backwards several paces. In quick succession, Zabuza formed hand seals. Within mere moments, he had completed 3 seals. Kakashi made a brief prediction, realizing that he could not reach in time to prevent Zabuza Momochi from performing his hand seals. Utilizing his Sharingan, he directly copied Zabuza's hand signs, even surpassing him in speed. Just as Zabuza completed his 5th seal, Kakashi swiftly finished all his hand seals. Water style, Water Dragon Jutsu. A colossal water dragon erupted before Kakashi, charging directly at Zabuza, interrupting his seals and knocking him against a tree. Before Zabuza could regain his senses, several shuriken flew towards him, pinning him firmly to the tree, rendering him immobile. "This is the end, Zabuza." Kakashi's right hand radiated a sharp, brilliant light, blue lightning coalescing in his palm, accompanied by a cacophony of bird calls erupting from his hand. "Raikiri." Suddenly, several ice blue spikes shot towards Zabuza's neck. Due to their incredible speed and the element of surprise, even Kakashi's Sharingan failed to discern what these projectiles were. Zabuza's pupils widened, his body collapsing helplessly. Had he not been pinned by the shuriken, his lifeless form would have surely fallen to the ground below. A masked figure clad in blue and white appeared beside Zabuza, glancing at the perplexed Kakashi. "A leaf ninja, I am here to eliminate the rogue of the mist. If possible, please refrain from interfering in our internal matters." "You waited until we subdued him to show up?" Naruto's eyes gleamed with fervor. Kakashi replied coldly, "I just arrived, believe it or not. But I have no desire to engage in combat with you." The masked man shook his head, his voice ethereal. "Very well, let it be so." Kakashi glanced at Naruto and the others. Although Naruto appeared relatively unscathed, Sakura and Sasuke were nearly depleted of chakra and stamina from dealing with Zabuza's water clones. If a conflict were to erupt here, victory was uncertain, but the children would undoubtedly suffer considerable harm. "Thank you for your understanding." The masked figure nodded and turned to leave with Zabuza's corpse in tow. After he departed, Kakashi's body swayed slightly, and he nearly stumbled to the ground. "Kakashi-sensei." Sakura and Sasuke exclaimed in unison, supporting him. Sakura, filled with concern, asked, "Did you sustain an injury during the battle?" "It's not just chakra depletion. Although my hand was grazed by a blade, it's nothing serious for now. I just need to rest." Kakashi's words trailed off as his eyes slowly closed, succumbing to exhaustion. When Kakashi next opened his eyes, he was greeted by an unfamiliar ceiling. Turning his head, he observed that he was in a room imbued with a strong sense of life. At that moment, the door creaked open, and a small boy wearing a white hat stood at the entrance, glancing at him before lowering his brim to shield his face and darting away. Not long after, Dasna entered with the 3 members of Team 7, inquiring about their well-being. "How is your health now?" "I am much better now, thank you." Kakashi nodded with a smile. "It is getting late. Why not stay for dinner?" Dasna chuckled, adding, "The children must be hungry as well." "That sounds good. I appreciate your hospitality," Kakashi replied. Noting the sudden rumble of Sasuke's stomach, "Inari, come help us." Dasna nodded and exited the room with a young boy wearing a white hat, who appeared slightly younger than Naruto. Inari shot a disgruntled glance at Kakashi and the others before following Dasna out. This boy, Inari, was Dasna's grandson, whose adoptive father, Kaiza, had been executed for resisting that villain, Kaido. Once the two had departed, Naruto crossed his arms and remarked, "Only Inari and Dasna remain in this household. If Kaido were to kill Dasna, Inari would be left to fend for himself at such a young age." Sakura, unable to contain her sympathy, added, "Moreover, Kaido would surely not spare Dasna's grandson." Sasuke nodded in agreement with Sakura's sentiment. "Thus, I propose we remain until the completion of this great bridge in the land of waves. Once the first bridge is built and the people experience its benefits, any attempt by Kaido to dismantle it will incite public resistance, significantly undermining his control over the land of waves." Naruto continued, "At that point, any scheme to assassinate Dasna would be far more challenging. The people will protect him, for his bridge-building skills are vital to their survival. Ultimately, you wish to safeguard the two of them." Kakashi scratched his head and said softly, "It seems unavoidable. I will acquiesce to your request. However, do not expect that assassins like Zabuza will not reappear. To bolster our strength, we must engage in intensive training over the next few days. No slacking off." "Yes," the 3 responded in unison. After dinner, everyone prepared for sleep, but Naruto quietly opened the door and stepped outside. The bright stars adorned the night sky, while countless lights flickered off one by one, enveloping the world in a profound silence akin to that of a coffin. Aside from the cold wind, one could only feel a sense of melancholy and solitude, accompanied by a bitterness reminiscent of having their mouth filled with dark chocolate. "What are you doing sitting out here instead of sleeping?" Naruto asked, glancing at Inari, who was seated on the steps. "It's none of your business." Inari initially froze before awkwardly turning away and muttering, "I've heard about your adoptive father's fate." Naruto casually settled beside Inari, who shifted a few steps away in displeasure. "What of it?" Inari frowned and said, "You think my adoptive father was foolish, don't you? He saved the dam, became a hero, and because of that title, Kaido targeted him, leading to his demise." Naruto chuckled. "It is indeed a logical outcome, yet it sounds so absurd. Having saved the village and sealed the 9 tails, the hero's name ultimately led to the ruin of his son, resulting in the loss of his life. My disdain for heroes runs deep. They sacrificed their lives for fleeting glory, leaving my grandfather and me to navigate this world alone. Whenever his name is mentioned, accolades pour forth, proclaiming him a hero, a warrior, a paragon of virtue. Yet, when he was led to the gallows, those same people stood silently below." I narrows his head between his knees, his voice tinged with sorrow. "Why is there not a single soul willing to stand up? Such is humanity," I narrows. "Some claim that the people follow whoever is victorious. Yet often, they merely follow the strong. If the oppressor stands victorious, they follow the oppressor. If a hero prevails, they rally behind a hero." Naruto softly replied, "Without violence, no one can be swayed. Benevolent heroes do not exist in any realm. What then shall we do?" I narrows, unable to comprehend Naruto's words, lifted his head to gaze at him, asking, "Shall we simply allow Kaido to continue his winning streak?" "Let us make a pact," Naruto suggested, a smile gracing his face as he extended his pinky towards Inaros. "I will help you eliminate Kaido, and you shall remain in the land of waves as my informant." "Informant?" Inaros questioned. "It merely entails gathering intelligence about the land of waves, a simple task. Study diligently, grow up to be a journalist, and I shall come seeking you." Naruto chuckled. Brother Naruto aspires to be a great hero in the future. Why become a hero? Inaros pondered. No one seeks to be the hero of the villains. That would be quite pitiful for them, would it not? Promise me, Brother Naruto, that this matter remains confidential. I do not need to understand. As long as you can eliminate Kado and avenge my adoptive father, I agree. Very well. Let us seal our pact. They intertwined their pinkies, and thus, the trajectory of this world began to deviate from its intended path. The following morning, Kakashi led the members of Team 7 into the woods, instructing them on the precise control of chakra. Previously, during battles against Zabuza and the Mist Assassins, it was their inability to manage chakra accurately that resulted in waste, leaving only Naruto to sustain combat with the immense chakra of the Nine Tails. The training involved concentrating chakra at the soles of their feet, enabling them to adhere to objects and defy physical laws, a technique previously employed by Sasuke to ascend Kakashi's earth release wall, a relatively easy task for him. For Naruto and Sakura, it posed little challenge as well. Thus, the trio trained throughout the morning. Aineros arrived in the woods, bringing lunch for the 4 members of Team 7, announcing that the bridge would soon be completed, with the final phase to commence in no more than 4 days. I have dispatched summoning ninja dogs to monitor the construction site, he informed them. Kakashi, enjoying his rice ball, replied, should anything arise, we will rush to your aid immediately. Agreed. Aineros nodded, casting a glance at Naruto before turning to leave the woods. Why is your meal more abundant than ours, Naruto? Sakura Haruno exclaimed, noticing the fish within Naruto's rice ball, whereas her own lacked any semblance of it, despite her several attempts to find a piece. Perhaps I am simply more prone to hunger, Naruto chuckled in response. After finishing their rice balls, the trio resumed their training until dusk fell. Kakashi instructed Team 7 to take a respite, while Sasuke and Sakura expressed their desire to assist Izuna in the kitchen. Naruto, however, opted to continue training for a while longer. Kakashi acquiesced to Naruto's request, reminding him to return soon. Once they departed, Naruto persisted in his training until fatigue overwhelmed him, prompting him to lie down on the spot. As drowsiness enveloped him, he closed his eyes and drifted into slumber. Time passed, though he could not ascertain how long. Little brother, he felt a gentle nudging. Upon opening his eyes, he beheld a girl clad in a cherry-colored dress crouching beside him, urging him awake. It's chilly to sleep here, she remarked. The girl possessed delicate features and fair skin, her voice carrying an ethereal quality. With waist-length, jet-black hair, she exuded a contrast to Sakura's lively demeanor, embodying the essence of a kind and gentle older sister from the neighborhood. Are you by? Naruto yawned and, after rubbing his eyes, spoke in a calm tone. How do you know my name? The girl stammered, momentarily taken aback before leaping several steps back, her voice sharp. Do not be alarmed, Naruto chuckled, rising from the grass. My only aim is you. I pose no threat to the esteemed Zabuza. Who exactly are you? She demanded. A villain, nothing more, Naruto declared, an astonishing surge of Nine-Tails chakra erupting from him. His eyes transformed into blood-red fox-like orbs, altering his very aura in that instant. It appears I cannot leave without resolving matters with you. I inhaled deeply, retrieving a symbolic white mask from her dress and donning it, her tone turning cold. I initially believed you to be an innocuous child, having chosen the path of a ninja, who still expects innocence. Naruto retorted with a cold smirk. You wish to protect those most precious to you, do you not? It seems you are merely one who relies on others to find solace, concealing your capacity to take lives with a stoic facade, existing within a dream prepared for yourself, much like those who indulge in dark elixirs. I remained silent. For her, donning the mask signified becoming a heartless assassin, capable of executing anyone, be they child, elder, or woman, if it meant fulfilling her mission. With a single hand, she formed seals, extracting water from the air and shaping it into a myriad of ice projectiles. With a swift motion, she unleashed the ice shards, which cascaded like relentless raindrops, imbued with chilling intent and lethal purpose. Water release, 1,000 water shuriken. Naruto swiftly formed hand seals with both hands, subsequently covering his mouth with his right hand, from which he unleashed a medium-sized, orange fireball that melted the overwhelming onslaught of ice projectiles. Fire release, great fireball technique. After the bell-grabbing exercise concluded, Team 7 continued to engage in menial tasks, such as capturing cats and dogs. During the intervals of these assignments, Naruto devoted his spare time to mastering ninjutsu through the technique of shadow clone jutsu, guided by the Book of Dimensions. This omniscient ninja tool could teach any ninjutsu, save for the soul-stealing technique. With the coordination of over 2,000 shadow clones, Naruto could learn the great fireball technique in a mere 3 seconds. Having consumed various types of chakra fruits, he possessed all elemental chakra within him, aside from the unique attributes of certain bloodline limits. Such rapid hand seal formation, by swiftly evaded the fireball's destructive range using the water body technique. After a cloud of black smoke, he spotted a crimson figure bursting forth, accompanied by a cacophony of sounds emanating from Naruto's right hand, where brilliant blue lightning coalesced. Lightning blade. The astonishing speed of the attack amplified its destructive potential. Unlike the great fireball, the lightning blade's true strength lay in its penetrating force, designed specifically for assassination rather than widespread devastation. I sensed the impending threat. He formed hand seals and leapt towards a branch. Mid-air, he directed the gathered vapor towards the ground, which coalesced into a wall of ice. I landed on this icy barrier and once again formed hand seals. Clang. Crack, crack, crack. The ice wall momentarily halted Naruto's lightning blade, but only for an instant. Increasing the chakra infusion, the sound of the lightning blade grew louder as he stepped forward and forcefully pierced through the ice wall. The barrier shattered, and Naruto propelled himself towards Bai, who was positioned behind the ice. Simultaneously, Naruto retrieved a special kunai from his pouch and hurled it several meters behind him into a tree. Ice release secret technique, Bai calmly declared, suddenly vanishing from sight, causing Naruto's lightning blade to miss its mark. Demonic ice crystal mirror. Suddenly, numerous square ice mirrors materialized around Naruto, their numbers multiplying until he was encased within a colossal fortress of ice. An aura of chill pervaded the interior as an ice projectile swiftly shot forth from the mirrors, grazing Naruto's arm. Clutching his right arm, he smirked. I've been waiting for this move. The ice release secret technique, demonic ice crystal mirror, creates multiple square mirrors around the enemy, concealing the user's figure within, utilizing the mirrors to refract ice projectiles at speeds approaching that of light. The technique's velocity was far beyond what Naruto could presently react to. Fortunately, he had long since familiarized himself with this secret technique through the Book of Dimensions and had prepared a countermeasure to break it. He gazed into the nearby ice mirror, where, apart from his own reflection, stood a silent figure clad in a mask. With a creak, Naruto pushed open the stone door, revealing a vast arena far more expansive than he had anticipated, bustling with a lively crowd. A peculiar fragrance wafted through the air, reminiscent of some beguiling herb being burned. Dozens of enormous round tables were set up on the ground floor, where individuals in varied attire manipulated gambling implements, vociferously calling out in a jargon he could not comprehend. Adult women, dressed provocatively, pressed their skin against the bare-chested gamblers, doing everything in their power to entice them into drinking more. Seemingly indifferent even when their bodies were thoroughly groped, the entire casino was suffused with a sense of hedonism. 3 days had passed. Naruto closed the book on dimensional planes, donned his ninja attire, and secured his Leaf Village headband before departing from Dasna's home. At this moment, dawn was breaking, the sky still dimly lit, and a thick fog enveloped the hidden mist village. Crimson lanterns hung at the doorways of every household, illuminating the streets and adding a touch of warmth to the mist. Naruto arrived at the great bridge of the hidden mist village, which was nearing completion, with only the final touches at the bridge's end remaining. Once this segment was finished, even a tyrant like Kato would be powerless to impede the flow of trade between the land of waves and the outside world. Flames obscured Zabuza's vision, and a searing pain surged throughout his body as the explosive tag obliterated his form into fragments. Blood splattered across Zabuza's face, a gaping black hole blasted into his abdomen, reminiscent of the injuries inflicted upon Haku by a Rasengan, albeit Zabuza's wounds were far more severe. Rather than calling you a lackey, I'd rather call you a foolish dog. Do all ninjas possess such dull wits? Kato laughed heartily at the sight of the weakened Zabuza, barely able to stand. You think you're impressive? Mastering ninjutsu is remarkable, yet here you are, facing death. Brother, Sasuke beamed with delight upon seeing Itachi, leaping into his embrace like a little girl. Sakura, witnessing this charming display, found herself drawn to the adorable sight of Sasuke being affectionate in his brother's arms. One of the Uchiha Clan's formidable members, Itachi Uchiha, the captain of the Umbu with his Manjiki Sharingan, was observed by Naruto, who silently pondered the power of those eyes. Itachi was clad in dark attire. A puppeteer? Sasuke exclaimed in surprise, as he seldom battled puppet masters and was unfamiliar with their combat style, yet this did not diminish his confidence in his ability to prevail. Don't soil yourself and run back to mommy. Kanjiro chuckled wickedly, maneuvering his puppet towards Sasuke, the mechanical components of the puppet emitting a terrifying clamor as it moved. This particular puppet, named Crow, was an aggressive combat puppet and Kanjiro's most frequently employed warrior. Sasuke soon realized that the written examination had come to an abrupt end, as Naruto had employed his shadow clones to wreak havoc in the examination hall, incinerating the test papers and rendering the entire assessment null and void. Consequently, this exam had been an utter waste of time, and due to the sudden nature of the events, no one, aside from Naruto, could ascertain the identity of the one responsible for releasing the clones, making it impossible to investigate further. The trio of Team 7, while engaged in casual conversation, waited alongside other candidates in the playground of the Ninja Academy for the proctor of the second round of examinations. During this time, a member of the Uchiha Clan approached Sasuke bearing gifts, purportedly sent by Itachi Uchiha, who had been dispatched on a mission. Sasuke, harnessing his chakra to activate his cells, deftly evaded Gaara's sand attacks by utilizing the body flicker technique several times in rapid succession. The speed of his movements was so extraordinary that Gaara perceived the illusion of two Sasukes. Although the body flicker technique is considered a fundamental and basic ninjutsu, very few can execute it with such remarkable speed. Sasuke's proficiency can be attributed to his cousin, Sasuke Uchiha, who had provided him with intensive training after the conclusion of their mission in the Land of Waves, effectively dismantling the Root Organization's plans. Meanwhile, in the midst of the dense fog, Kankuro gritted his teeth, maneuvering his puppet, Crow, and his capturing puppet, Black Ant, with heightened focus. As golden flashes darted through the mist, eluding the naked eye. After 3 swift flickers, a kunai imbued with the Flying Thunder God technique was accurately hurled towards Kankuro, who skillfully ensnared it within Black Ant's body to prevent Naruto from utilizing it to teleport in front of him. In the depths of the Death Forest, a group of Konoha's examinees cheerfully raced towards the high tower, unaware of the challenges that lay ahead. One boy with a prominent pompadour exclaimed with excitement, "Having obtained the Heaven Scroll so easily, if we can just pass the 3rd stage of the Chunin exams, we shall become Chunin. Once I achieve that rank, I can take on more advanced missions and earn greater rewards to improve my family's living conditions. Our clay stove is on the brink of collapse, and my sister was even afraid that the food cooked on it might be toxic." However, amidst their jubilance, Naruto's eyes flashed with a glint of murderous intent. "Indeed, he should be rendered immobile. Shouldn't our team be disqualified? Are the Konoha examiners going to protect their own ninjas?" As Toby ignited the fuse, the atmosphere within the arena buzzed with anticipation, with all eyes turned towards Team 7. Sakura, having never witnessed such a coordinated assault, instinctively took a step back in trepidation. While Sasuke gritted his teeth, beads of cold sweat forming as a wave of guilt washed over him. Naruto, now accustomed to being the target of disdain, remarked, "So, you wish to intercept me alone? It seems I have been underestimated, Mr. Kakashi Hatake." He deliberately refrained from referring to him as teacher, casting a glance at Shikaku, who remained oblivious to his presence, and added, "Is that all you have with that Sharingan? The village of Konoha is the land that your father, my teacher, has protected with his life. It must not be destroyed." Kakashi, channeling his Chidori, removed his leaf headband and spoke with unwavering determination. "To stand on this land, soaked with the blood of my father and mother, and to be humiliated without restraint is intolerable." Sakura Haruno arrived at the devastated Forest of Death. Having brought Sasuke with her, she gently placed him beneath a relatively intact tree, anxiously regarding him as she said, "Sasuke, stay here and don't move. I will gather some herbs for you." "No need for that. Take me to the Valley of the End," Sasuke replied, shaking his head, straining to lift himself. "No one but me can stop Naruto. I must bring him back." "Absolutely not," Sakura insisted resolutely. "You are in no condition." Orochimaru revealed a sinister smile before vanishing from sight. "Sasuke, do you know? Naruto has already manifested a cloak of the 9 tails," he said softly, gazing at Sasuke. "A true ninja can sense each other's intentions during battle. My intention is simple. In the days to come, I wish for the 3 of us to remain together, embarking on missions, sharing bento, and discussing our training ahead." Sasuke closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, the 3 tomo of the Sharingan were clearly visible. "Ah, my friend, you seem to have quite the fondness for this book," the store manager said cheerfully as he welcomed a new customer. "This is the work of the renowned novelist Jiraiya. Not only is Lord Jiraiya an exceptional author, But he is also incredibly powerful. He was one of the legendary Sannin during the Third Shinobi World War, you know? It was our former leader, Hanzo of the Salamander, who granted him the title of Sannin. Before the manager could finish, the customer chuckled and replied, "The protagonist of this book has quite an interesting name. Reminiscent of my organization." The Akatsuki's three-step plan was as follows. 1. Gather funding, extracting all available wealth to prepare for future endeavors. 2. Establish a mercenary organization to incite wars of all sizes and monopolize war resources. 3. Capture the nine-tailed beasts to forge powerful tailed beast weapons. As for the nine-tails jinchūriki, Pain promised to extract the nine tails from Naruto's body after capturing the first 8 beasts, assuring that Naruto would not perish. As they would apprehend a puppet master named Chiyo from the Sand Village to use her reanimation jutsu to revive him. Whether Chiyo would consent to revive Naruto was a matter for the Akatsuki. The next day, the Akatsuki members set out on their mission. Meanwhile, Naruto and Konan embarked towards the hidden mist village, traveling by boat, one at the bow and the other at the stern. Konan gazed vacantly at the sky while Naruto busied himself with a copy of The Will of Fire. "Hey, Naruto, do you enjoy reading?" Konan asked gently, feeling a twinge of boredom after what felt like an eternity. "Neither love nor hate. I simply do not have much time to read," Naruto responded. Naruto lifted his head as a commotion erupted at the port of the hidden mist village. Dozens of colossal objects toppled into the water. Naruto and Konan leapt from the ship, landing on solid ground as they emerged from the mist. With a gentle snap of her fingers, Konan caused the ship behind them to shatter with a thunderous crash, an explosion illuminating the duo with its fierce blaze. "They are members of the Akatsuki," someone exclaimed, pointing at Naruto and his companion. "Ninjas of the Akatsuki. Run. Don't let them catch you. They delight in capturing people to sell them." Konan's skin gleamed with the purity of lamb's fat, her figure gracefully curved. The usually stoic expression on her face was momentarily softened by a hint of blush from the warmth. She gathered her blue hair into a small bun, posing adorably before a mirror, but soon released it in embarrassment, diving into the bathtub like a child, blowing bubbles. Utilizing her paper manipulation ability, she crafted several small boats, blowing them forward as they raced. The victorious boat was cradled in her palm, treasured like a precious gem. "Damn it. Didn't Tiafe promise to leave me a complete corpse?" Naruto shouted, fear gripping him. He dared not struggle, terrified that a stray thread might trigger the detonation mechanism. At that moment, he comprehended the adage that heroes often falter at the hands of beauty. Men are inherently lecherous. "Is this your final statement?" Konan asked ominously, bringing a lighter close to the explosive tag. "It's both brief and meaningless. Must I resort to that technique? Though it may backfire. It seems I have no other choice." A massive white avian creature burst through the ceiling of Ino's flower shop, with Ino tightly bound, emitting muffled cries for help as she struggled, her usually kind eyes filled with terror. "Fear not. As long as you comply with our demands, you shall not be harmed," Deidara said, patting Ino's shoulder with a smile. "A beautiful girl who appreciates art. Should those ruffians trouble you, I will lend my assistance." "She appreciates my art, you self-destructive maniac," Scorpion scoffed. Naruto and Konan settled in a rustic cabin nestled among the trees. Before them stood a large square wooden table, where Itachi, recently returned from a mission, sat alongside a boy and a girl. The children reached for the fruit platter on the table, while Itachi poured tea for Naruto and Konan. Years had passed, and the boy who once sulked on the steps had matured into a poised young man. "I never expected you to visit today," Itachi remarked as he resumed his seat with a smile. "It just so happens that our mission location was the hidden mist." Naruto nodded in agreement. The group escorted the president of the Merchant Association toward their base. Upon seeing the president, who wielded immense power in the land of waves, being led away in such a manner shocked the members of the Ocean Wave Merchant Association, leaving them too daunted to intervene, merely shrinking back as they watched Naruto usher the president into the office. Moreover, there were 2 ninjas clad in Akatsuki cloaks alongside him. Naruto forcefully kicked open the office door and remarked in a low voice, "Why do those in positions of power prefer to construct secret passages within their offices? Are they not afraid of someone emerging from the shadows to strike them down? In the land of waves, who would dare to place a blade at my throat?" After capturing the 6 tails, Naruto presented a conch shell, recording the voice of the guild leader, to Inari. Subsequently, Inari leveraged various media outlets to disseminate the evidence he had previously gathered, igniting the public's fury. They surged towards the Sea Wave Guild, seizing every last coin and even the furniture within. Could a benevolent individual truly achieve such a feat? Observing the jubilant crowd, Naruto scoffed. This is a deed only villains can accomplish, unshackled by moral constraints. Ino, clutching her head, staggered to her room and collapsed onto the bed. She hadn't intended to indulge in alcohol, yet those seemingly malicious individuals had coaxed her into drinking more than she realized. She mused silently. Is my room the one tidied up by that fellow Deidara? Surely, there aren't any clay bombs lying around. Exhausted, she closed her eyes, contemplating whether today was the day she would confront that detestable creature, Naruto. Little did she know, he had once protected her. Indeed, monsters tend to congregate with their own kind. She felt rather weak, unable to fend off even her younger sister, who could easily bruise her. Hinata Hyūga had started to hear such remarks around her, largely attributed to Neji, her cousin from the branch family, who possessed talents starkly opposite to hers. His combat prowess overshadowed that of their father. Father, tell me, did Neji inherit his Byakugan from his elder sister? Hanabi, despite the pain, stood and rushed to Hinata's side, incredulously asking, why are you keeping your eyes closed? Why won't you answer me? Continue the match, Hanabi. The future of the Hyūga clan relies on you and Neji. Hayashi replied, shaking his head gently. Father, please answer me. Where is my sister? Hanabi was utterly unfocused on the competition, her gaze trembling as she looked at Hayashi. The defenses of Konoha were formidable, especially after the Chunin exams concluded years prior, resulting in a doubling of the security forces. Infiltrating unnoticed was a daunting task. Fortunately, Deidara and Sasori had not encountered any troublesome adversaries that day, but Naruto's situation was different. Damn it, why are there so many Sharingan users lined up? Naruto raised an eyebrow, feeling somewhat exasperated. With adversaries possessing Sharingan, his transformation technique would prove less effective, as it essentially served as an auxiliary skill. Neji paused momentarily, a cold smile creeping across his lips as he remarked, have you summoned the monster to assist you? Indeed. The renowned wide-eyed specter shares a profound connection with the nine-tailed fox. To wield him as a sword is indeed remarkable. What of it if I relish being wielded by her? My joy is my own, and your opinion holds no weight. Naruto ground his teeth, gripping the Kusanagi sword tightly as he exclaimed, so you're the one spreading rumors that Hinata has feelings for me? Am I mistaken? Fine. I shan't bother engaging with you any further. With that, he unleashed the spiraling flame sword. Naruto transformed into a brilliant blaze, lunging fiercely toward Orochimaru, who realized he could scarcely evade the assault and chose to shield Hanabi in a gamble. With a swift motion, Naruto redirected his attack, causing the spiraling flame sword to detonate upon the ground, enveloping the area in thick smoke. The Kusanagi sword suddenly soared from the haze, and Orochimaru seized it, its blade shimmering with radiant light. In that instant, Naruto materialized, delivering a swift kick to Orochimaru's head. As Orochimaru faltered, Naruto hurled the Kusanagi sword towards the window of the Hokage's office. In a flash of golden light, he vanished from sight. Shursui raised his head, anticipating Naruto would teleport to the Kusanagi sword, but the blade pierced the window and embedded itself in the ceiling of the conference room, yet Naruto did not appear. At that moment, Naruto found himself at the Akatsuki's base, gasping for breath. This had been the most perilous instance of his Flying Thunder God technique. Had he hesitated even slightly, his consciousness would have been distorted by Shursui, rendering all his efforts futile over the years. Back already? What did you discover? After finishing his soup, Naruto utilized the Flying Thunder God to appear beside Hinata, who then realized that he had marked her palm with the Flying Thunder God seal. So this was his intention in taking my hand? Hinata's gaze dimmed momentarily before she shook her head, dismissing such thoughts. It was enough to be by Naruto's side. She could not afford to yearn for more. Clenching her fists, she silently resolved within herself. I will now escort you both to the Akatsuki's base. Why did you start crying? After Naruto finished speaking, tears streamed from the soul opening in Akatsuki's mask, cascading down like a column of water and splattering onto Naruto's face. Did you install a water gun in your eyes? Little Hinata, how tragic. Akatsuki lowered his head, covering his mask as he spoke. No wonder you managed to escape from that place. Deidara nodded in response. By the way, what led you to become a rogue ninja? 5 minutes later, Naruto tenderly stroked Hanabi's hair, wearing a contented smile. At that moment, Hanabi finally grasped the essence of Naruto's personality. She possessed the same vivaciousness and cheerfulness. Unbothered by her own beauty, dressed in a rather bold manner, embodying the spirit of a generous girl. The reason she found herself drawn to girls, in essence, stemmed from Naruto's influence. Naruto informed Hinata that those wishing to pursue a romantic relationship with her were invariably ill-intentioned. However, Hinata's perspective was that romance represented a profound connection between individuals of differing genders. In the early hours of dawn, Naruto groggily arose from his slumber to address a pressing need, only to encounter a familiar silhouette upon exiting the restroom. A woman with soft lavender blue hair, clad in a rather unremarkable black dress, stealthily opened the door to the ninja tools shop, reminiscent of a thief. In the dim light, Naruto failed to discern her hair color and quietly followed her outside. Bathed in the moonlight, he soon realized that it was, indeed, Konan. Unlike her usual appearance, Konan had eschewed her lip gloss and removed her earrings, meticulously preparing her face for this occasion. Why can't we find anything? By midday, Naruto and Konan had yet to locate an open bookstore. Regardless of whether they searched in Hidden Leaf Village or its surrounding areas, every bookstore had closed its doors. Frustrated, Konan slumped onto a bench, too weary to move. Naruto joined her, observing the bustling crowd. Just as he was about to speak, a man clad in work pants dashed over, handing each of them a ticket. Congratulations! You have become the fortunate winners of tickets to Happy Valley Amusement Park. Time flowed like water, and several months slipped by. The Akatsuki organization remained as lively as ever, and after a period of adjustment, Hinata had become well acquainted with her comrades, effortlessly earning the title of the kitchen's head from pain, a fact that left him disheartened for quite some time. The dynamic between Naruto and Konan had transformed. Shedding the stiffness of the past, playful banter had become commonplace, inciting a mix of envy and determination in Deidara, who secretly vowed to win over Ino. As for Ino, I had yet to notice that our base had indeed cultivated. The Raikage, embodying a bolt of blue lightning, vanished from sight. In his lightning armor state, his body flicker technique was executed with such speed that it was nearly imperceptible. This reminded Sasuke of the formidable figure who had once echoed throughout the ninja world during the Third Great Ninja War, a speed rivaling that of the Fourth Hokage. The Golden Flash, Minato Namikaze. The lightning fang attack missed its mark, merely grazing the Raikage's hair before exploding against the rocky wall, creating a sizable cavity. In truth, the Raikage had no need to evade the lightning fang. With his lightning armor abilities, he could convert the attack into his own energy, thereby enhancing his combat prowess. The Sand Ninja Village had become riddled with scars. Ever since Shikaka's rampage had laid waste to the village, reconstruction efforts had commenced. Yet, the financial strain proved insurmountable. Not only was rebuilding the village a formidable challenge, but even restoring key trade routes was exceedingly difficult. Witnessing this predicament, the Land of Wind abandoned the Sand Ninja Village, establishing a new Sand Ninja instead, subsequently dispatching the new Kazekage to restore order in the old Sand Ninja Village. A considerable number of Sand Ninjas are reluctant to depart, as the new Kazekage has concealed the truth from the upper echelons, demanding a substantial relocation fee from the old Sand Ninjas. Should they refuse to pay this fee, the encirclement in which Sasuke is participating aims to annihilate the Akatsuki organization in one fell swoop. According to intelligence provided by an undercover agent within the Akatsuki, their hideout lies beneath a weapon shop in the Rain Village. To eradicate this deeply rooted menace within the ninja world, the 5 great nations have assembled the might of their respective villages, establishing 5 bases surrounding the Rain Village. Once the plan is finalized, they are poised to launch a surprise attack against the Akatsuki. However, unbeknownst to them, the Sand Ninja Kazekage has already forged an alliance with Naruto, allowing them to acquire intelligence on the Akatsuki, while Naruto can obtain information about the 5 great villages through Temari. Long time no see, Sasuke, Naruto remarked, a strained smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. He gently flipped the Kusanagi sword, revealing its razor-sharp blade, while murderous intent surged from both his Sharingan and Byakugan. Naruto, Sasuke replied, his expression conflicted as he confronted Naruto, standing before the Raikage. Raikage-sama, please hand him over to me, he requested. The Raikage furrowed his brow. Yet before he could respond, Naruto interjected, you two should join forces. Facing just one of you may prove insufficient. An extraordinary occurrence unfolded as the Raikage's attack made contact with Zhejiang Phileo, which transformed into a golden flash and vanished, taking Naruto with it. Sasuke abruptly halted his sprint, astonished as he gazed at the Kusanagi sword embedded in the ground, realizing that Naruto had not teleported to it. He had seemingly vanished into thin air. The Raikage looked around in astonishment, unable to locate Naruto's presence. How could such a large figure simply disappear? Raikage-sama, I warned you not to interfere, the cloth-clad ninja said, patrolling alongside several cloud ninjas to ensure Killer Bee's safety. Every corner of the base must be thoroughly searched, as the opponent's strength necessitates that 2 cloud ninjas team up for the search, otherwise, it would be a one-way journey. Are you on patrol, Mabui? Sakura Haruno inquired, rinsing her bloodied hands in a basin of clean water as she glanced at the passing Mabui. Yes, Miss Haruno, Mabui replied, pausing respectfully to bow. I greatly appreciate your medical contributions. A multitude of blades descended rapidly, pinning limbs to the ground like nails, as crimson chakra surged from the sword blades. Killer Bee noted that each blade bore the flying thunder god mark, indicating that Naruto could teleport to any of these blades' locations. Let us begin, Naruto declared, approaching one of the blades, drawing it from the ground, and coldly stating, 8-sword style? Allow me to demonstrate what true swordsmanship entails. Those who boast excessively often meet a grim fate. The elbow of Kurabi's beastly cloak suddenly revealed a white hue. Naruto stood atop the ravaged mountainside, where Kurabi had relinquished his 8-tails form, his body pinned to the ground by Naruto's blade. Ice release erupted from the sword, rendering Kurabi immobile, while scattered crystalline fragments exuded a chilling aura. The fractured cliff appeared as though it had been brutally torn apart by a giant, with several severed tails of the 8 tails embedded in the cliff's wall. Naruto's Akatsuki cloak was tattered from the battle, and he bore several deep wounds. Fortunately, the formidable healing abilities of the 9 tails prevented those wounds from claiming his life. I apologize. All of this is for the sake of ultimate peace. The young man raised a kunai and plunged it fiercely into himself. Help! Konan jolted awake from her slumber, sitting up drenched in cold sweat, her beautiful eyes wide with terror. She covered her face with her hands and shook her head, unwilling to recall the events of that day. She donned her usual attire and then draped her Akatsuki cloak over her shoulders. As usual, she opened the door to her room, where Pain sat tirelessly in his elevated position, silently gazing into the distance. The night had fallen, with stars sparsely scattered across the sky. The entrance to the ninja tool shop remained ajar, as Deidara and Kasame had yet to return. All members of the Akatsuki, save for Pain, were resting. Ino stood quietly at the door, her brow furrowed in concern. Pain observed Ino for a moment before shaking his head and diverting his gaze. After standing for some time, she sat on the threshold, leaning against the doorframe with her eyes closed, her thoughts sinking like stones into the deep sea. The cold did not deter her drowsiness. As the cold wind tousled her hair, the young woman quietly drifted off to sleep. Pain cast a few glances in her direction. Naruto, riding the white-scaled serpent, obliterated the facilities at the Fire Mountain-esque stronghold. The earth was bound tightly by her white serpent, resembling a zongzi, while the surrendering female ninjas were whisked away by the summoned serpents. She had no intention of being inconspicuous. Naruto's directive was to create chaos, instilling fear in the opposition towards the Akatsuki, thus delaying their offensive and granting the Akatsuki time to extract the tailed beasts. Though she was not particularly fond of fighting, she reluctantly accepted the request of her other self. By the way, your target is me. Do not harm anyone else. A tall man appeared atop the eaves, his head adorned with a cap-like structure, a red mask covering his mouth, and his body encased in peculiar red armor. The thrusters on his back emitted strange whirring sounds, releasing white steam. The 5 tails jinchūriki, huh? Oh, I've suddenly changed my mind. Whether it's you or Kuratsuchi, I shall take you both down. Naruto's eyes widened in astonishment. Well, what is that? A startled exclamation echoed through the Akatsuki's base as Naruto flung open the door to his room, remnants of sleep still clinging to him, his weary face framed by dark circles beneath his eyes. What is your name? Do you think others aren't sleeping this early in the morning? Naruto approached the door and noticed Deidara holding a watering can in his left hand while his right hand trembled, pointing towards the body of the 5 tails jinchūriki positioned at the entrance of the base's secret passage. This must be the 5 tails jinchūriki from Iwagakure, right? Why is he here so inexplicably? Naruto had acquired the key to the dungeon where Chiyo and the others were imprisoned. It seemed that Pain held a particular trust in him, thus appointing him as the guardian of the keys. Conan's recent demeanor had been rather peculiar. Hinata had also sensed something amiss, yet no matter how much she inquired, Conan would only respond with a forced smile, assuring her that everything would be fine soon. Time has a way of dulling all things, yet it requires a considerable span. In the short term, this strange sensation does not fade but rather deepens, tormenting the spirit like a poison that gnaws at the bones, much like Conan now, consumed by thoughts of neither food nor tea. Naruto stood in a shadowy corner, the soft patter of raindrops resonating against his Akatsuki cloak. He extended his right hand, and a white dove alighted upon it, a small wooden cylinder tied to its leg. Unfastening the cylinder, Naruto released the dove into the sky. The information is similar to the last. Perhaps it is time to urge her to capture the seven tails. After reading the note inside the cylinder, he murmured to himself. A figure appeared at the mouth of the alley, possessing a face reminiscent of a shark. Naruto arrived at a modest eatery in the village of Rain, scanning the establishment until he spotted Kisame, clad in an Akatsuki cloak, seated at a table. He approached and sat down across from him, casually ordering several small dishes. The undercover agent has surfaced, he remarked, crossing his legs. It's Sasori. The key to the cabinet in the kitchen has gone missing. What are your plans now? Will you wait at the dungeon entrance for him to free the jinchūriki? No. My plans are already in place. Tonight at 8. Kisame swiftly formed hand seals, attempting to utilize ninjutsu to break through the crystal release barrier and escape. However, Naruto clearly had no intention of allowing him to succeed. With a snap of his fingers, Kisame found himself unable to move. He felt small crystalline formations emerging within his body, realizing that continuing to form seals could lead to them piercing through and causing his immediate demise. I would advise against making any hasty moves. The effectiveness of crystal release is swift, and it could easily reduce you to mere fragments in an instant, Naruto chuckled. Though you are not one to fear death, I can certainly attest to that. Is this your proposed solution? Konan observed Hinata, who was so elated that she bounced in her steps, and softly inquired, How do you feel, Nanjia? Deidara nodded, responding with confidence, seeing the relationship between Hinata and Naruto. Do you feel anything peculiar within? A little, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything, does it? Konan frowned, stubbornly retorting. Awaiting tomorrow, when we shall visit the amusement park. You will quietly follow in their wake. Why this place again? It was only at this moment that Naruto realized the amusement park in Byakugan Village was the very same one he had previously visited with Konan. Could it be that that rascal, Minato, is up to his tricks once more? Naruto instinctively raised an eyebrow, pondering silently. As they strolled along the streets of Byakugan Village, Naruto had traded his Akatsuki cloak for a brown fabric jacket, complemented by a white shirt beneath. His attire today diverged from his usual cold and cynical demeanor, embodying a more carefree spirit. Suddenly, with a thud, as Naruto disembarked from the roller coaster, he stumbled, nearly losing his balance. Hinata quickly reached out to steady him, softly inquiring, Naruto, are you all right? I'm fine, just experiencing a bit of aftershock, Naruto replied, his expression peculiar as he struggled to comprehend his own disarray caused by such a simple amusement ride. My apologies, let me help you to that bench over there, Hinata suggested, guiding him to a seat opposite the attraction. Taking a deep breath, Naruto sought to alleviate the disorientation he felt. There exists a legend of a flower that blooms at night. Couples who witness its blossom and confess their love are said to receive the blessings of the goddess of love, ensuring a life of happiness and togetherness. Naruto. It seems more natural to call you Naruto-kun, Hinata mused, as they concluded their afternoon of games. The sky gradually darkened, the amusement park's lights flickering to life, casting elongated shadows that intertwined. Hinata took a red string and wrapped it around Naruto's wrist, finishing with a beautifully tied knot. This knot is something I learned from my family, she shared. The following morning, Deidara awoke as usual to tend to his flowers, humming a nursery rhyme he had heard somewhere, resembling a child in his joy. Bang! The secret passage swung open, and Naruto along with Konan stepped inside. Naruto appeared still drowsy, stifling a large yawn, while Konan nibbled on a candied hawthorn skewer, looking more lively than Naruto, her demeanor returning to its usual state. Oh, you two are back, Deidara exclaimed, glancing at them with a smile. According to intelligence gathered from Zetsu, the jinchūriki of the Seven Tails, Fu, was located in a fortress deep within the Iron Country's mountains, heavily guarded by numerous ninjas and samurai. The outermost layer consisted of surveillance teams with formidable reconnaissance capabilities, each comprising 4 members, totaling 5 teams. Due to the perpetual snowfall in the Iron Country, the weather was frigid, necessitating a shift change for the reconnaissance teams every 6 hours to maintain their stamina and alertness against the harsh winter. In such conditions, not only is the ability to endure the cold tested, but also the capacity to think critically in frigid temperatures. Zetsu had meticulously charted the area. What is happening over there? Akatsuki observed as flames erupted from within the restricted zone. With a hint of confusion, he inquired. And it seems to have originated from the defense team. Could it be they are fighting among themselves? Regardless of whether it is due to internal strife or another reason, now presents an opportune moment to charge in. It is likely that Shaonin has also begun to take action. Naruto sheathed the Kusanagi sword at his waist and said softly, "Fei, you may engage in battle according to the plan. Although the defense unit has experienced a schism, it would be prudent for you to restrain them just in case. Indeed, if negotiation fails, then let us commence the fight." The Raikage was the first to launch an assault. His form erupted with a surge of blue lightning, his lightning armor state pushed to its utmost. He transformed into a brilliant arc of light, crashing fiercely into Naruto's body. In response, Naruto hurled the Kusanagi sword towards the ceiling, dodging the Raikage's linear attack with the flying Thunder God technique. Just as Naruto gripped the blade tightly, Tsunade formed hand seals and expelled a stream of pale yellow liquid towards him. Naruto swung the sword to strike at Tsunade's liquid, initially believing the blade would disintegrate upon contact. However, from the depths of the shadowy path, urgent footsteps echoed. A man stood silently, a cold murderous intent emanating from his Sharingan. Naruto's figure came into view, and simultaneously, the black-clad man appeared in Naruto's line of sight. A cold smile crept across his lips as he grasped the hilt of the Kusanagi sword and spoke. "It has been quite a while, Captain of the Umbu, Mr. Itachi Uchiha. I would rather not encounter you here." Itachi Uchiha shook his head, and the tomo in his Sharingan began to spin, ultimately manifesting the deep crimson Susanoo that shattered the ceiling. The ancient, godlike figure emerged onto the battlefield, wielding the ethereal tin-fist sword in its right hand and the eight-span mirror, an infernal shield ablaze, in its left. The ninjas on the battlefield gazed in shock towards the bunker, disbelief etched upon their faces. "Is that my brother's Susanoo? How could he be here?" Sasuke was momentarily stunned, having had no knowledge of Itachi's presence on this battlefield. "Indeed, it appears that the Hokage has presented you with a scene best described as a ruin." After the explosion of the Seven Spheres spiral sword, the Kusanagi sword was shattered into several pieces strewn across the ground. The snow was blasted away, leaving a deep crater of 40 meters, where one would have to wait several seconds to hear the sound of their descent upon hitting the ground. Standing before the deep pit, Naruto's red Akatsuki cloak billowed in the chilly wind. He turned to look at the seven-tailed jinchūriki, who sat trembling on the ground, her face marked with profound fear as she gazed at him. Despite harboring the seven-tailed beast within her, she dared not resist. The pine forest of the Land of Iron, the most peculiar ecosystem in the ninja world, thrived even in the depths of winter, its growth more vigorous with each passing year. Concealed beneath the towering pines, Deara and Kisame were not easily noticeable, engaged in conversation regarding the destruction wrought by the Seven Spheres spiral sword when Naruto and suddenly appeared before them. "Naruto, you're still alive," Deara exclaimed with joy. "What was that explosive chakra just now? I had thought you had been ensnared by this contraption." "That was my throne jutsu. Specifically." Naruto and Naruto parted ways midway. Naruto retreated with her subordinates from the battlefield, intending to return to the stronghold of the new Whirlpool country, while Naruto arrived at the predetermined location where Konan and others awaited him. Even Haiden, who had not participated in the battle, was present. Thus, the tailed beasts were nearly gathered. As Sasori gazed at Naruto's figure, he spoke softly. "The 8 tails has been successfully extracted from Killer Bee's body. Next, we only need to extract the 7 tails and my 9 tails." Naruto nodded. Within the Rain Village, it was rare for Naruto not to be summoned by Konan to her chamber. He found himself seated alone amidst the tangled steel pipes of the communication network, cold raindrops cascading upon him, the chill penetrating his skin and coursing through his nervous system. He instinctively shivered, gazing at the ominous clouds and the bustling pedestrians below, sensing a peculiar vitality. "Be careful, you might catch a cold," came a voice from beside him. It was Zetsu, holding a pitch-black umbrella that shielded both him and Naruto from the rain, the droplets pattering rhythmically against the umbrella surface. The man was tall, adorned with a forehead protector inscribed with oil symbols, his long white hair cascading to his waist, draped in a loose red mantle, clad in wooden sandals, and his hands adorned with armor-like gear, peculiar red markings beneath his eyes, appearing to be in his 40s. It was Jiraiya, one of the legendary 3 ninjas. Shimura Danzo stood and gazed at him, inquiring, "Who informed you of this place?" "A blonde girl," Jiraiya replied, turning his attention to Tsunade, who lay prostrate on the ground. His tone growing stern. "What are you doing?" "Shinra-tensei." A wave of invisible repulsion erupted from pain, forming a massive circular shockwave centered on him. Everything touched by this force shattered. The prosperous hidden leaf village was crushed with a thunderous boom, clouds of dust enveloping the village. The screams of pedestrians mingling with the spattering of blood. Pain stared impassively at the ruins of the leaf village, uttering, "This is the pain you once bestowed upon me." Minutes of silence were shattered by a furious shout. "What are you doing?" Deidara's giant bird was suddenly struck by a brilliant flame blade, forcing him to awkwardly maneuver the bird for a precarious landing. Just as his feet touched the ground, Sasuke's figure appeared before him, his tanto raised overhead before striking down fiercely. Deidara hurriedly dodged the blade. Then with a swift motion of his hands, a flurry of white birds surged toward Sasuke. Sasuke formed hand seals, launching several flame-infused shurikens at the clay explosive birds. The moment the clay birds collided with the flaming shurikens, they erupted in a blaze. "You are the prodigy of the Uchiha Clan, Uchiha Sasuke." Just as Naruto landed, Guy launched a second attack, having opened the sixth gate of the 8 gates. His speed and strength utterly astounding. However, merely facing the 6th Hokage is indeed a formidable challenge. With the capability of the Flying Thunder God technique, Naruto's speed can be deemed unparalleled in the current shinobi world. Although Guy's velocity is not to be underestimated, Naruto has strategically mapped out the displacement range using his lightning blade scroll, making it exceedingly difficult for Guy to reach him. His objective is solely to stall me, not to engage in combat. Guy has taken note of Naruto's prowess. What could this ability be? Sakura Haruno was thrown high into the air, only to crash violently against the wall. Beside Pain stood the Beast Path, sporting orange hair, who formed hand seals and summoned the remaining paths of Pain using summoning techniques. Just as Sakura attempted to rise, an enormous silver chainsaw emerged from behind the Azura Path, ruthlessly cleaving towards her, who had activated Sage Mode. Damn it! Sakura clenched her fists, a surge of formidable chakra erupting from within. She pivoted and unleashed a punch against the chainsaw, causing a powerful explosion that dissipated the dust, revealing a black truth-seeking ball that enveloped Danzo Shimura, suspended in midair. The explosion bore no harm to Danzo whatsoever. "Is this all your art amounts to?" The truth-seeking ball reverted from its spherical form, and Danzo raised his right hand, effortlessly manipulating the ball to launch an assault on Ino and Deidara, who were positioned at a distance. "TCH, this guy seems rather strong." Deidara clicked his tongue in dissatisfaction, skillfully maneuvering to evade the assault of the truth-seeking balls. Did he come all this way to seek his demise? Danzo scoffed, as several truth-seeking balls soared into the air, swiftly charging towards Obito. Utilizing Kamui, Obito phased out of the way, retreating a couple of steps to avoid the oncoming attack. The chains were forcefully shattered by the truth-seeking balls. With a single hand gesture, Danzo unleashed a powerful repulsive force, pinning Naruto firmly to the ground. The truth-seeking balls instantaneously shifted their target, hurtling towards Naruto. Just as they were about to make contact, Naruto transformed into a stone statue controlled by Danzo, who stood protectively in front of himself. As long as the original body remains intact, even if the 7 spirals of truth were to destroy the statue, it would still serve as a barrier. No matter how potent the attack, it would be futile. Naruto formed hand seals, causing the positions of Danzo's arm and the 7 spirals of truth to swap places. Danzo's arm plummeted from midair, while the 7 spirals of truth successfully soared past the statue, striking Danzo with a resounding impact. Boom! A torrent of colossal chakra surged forth, tearing apart Danzo's form amidst the power of 7 ninjutsu techniques. His limbs were shredded by the 7 spiral swords, and his body spun through the air. The hidden mist village, as always, was enveloped in a thick shroud of white mist. With the threat of the Cathead pirates now eradicated, the village's rudder and the great river had transformed into a unique cultural heritage. Many visitors flocked to the hidden mist village, opting to traverse the river by boat rather than crossing the bridge. As the sagacious new lord, I, of course, would not let such an opportunity slip away. I initiated a series of renovation plans for the village, ultimately transforming its boats and river into a scenic attraction akin to the Valley of the End in the Hidden Leaf Village, thus establishing a harmonious coexistence between the bridge and the river. On this day, the battle in the hidden mist had concluded. This was the prevailing sentiment among the masses. Tsunade was undergoing treatment from Ino Yamanaka, freeing her from the control of the mental sphere, while Jiraiya and Deidara stood vigil by their sides. Haiden, like a curious sparrow, flitted around Obito, chattering excitedly. "Hey, are you Akatsuki? No way. Is that a serious face hidden beneath the mask? No way, no way. Are you Akatsuki? Hey, hey. Pay attention to me." I almost want to lock you in Kamui space for a proper rest. Suppressing his impatience, Obito responded, "You want me to be the leader?" He pointed incredulously at himself, asking, "Are you serious? Weren't you always aspiring to become Hokage?" "Although I am not the Hokage of the Hidden Leaf now. It is not much different." Naruto Uzumaki nodded, placing a dark-hued hat emblazoned with the character for Uzumaki atop Obito's head, chuckling. "Naruto will be the new leader of the Uzumaki nation, and you shall be the Uzumaki Village's leader, with Rin as your secretary to assist in managing affairs. Strive to implement your policies as you envision them. Although that guy, Naruto, single-handedly built this nation." Naruto yawned, gazing at the city that felt both alien and familiar. The misty night rain, illuminated by the vibrant neon lights, appeared particularly enchanting, reminiscent of a woman in a kimono, seductively reclining on tatami mats, a pipe in hand. What was I about to do? Naruto scratched his head. He had recently returned to this city, having lived here during his childhood before moving away due to school and family circumstances. His return was prompted by the fact that his household registration still resided here, leading him to participate in the underground fighting arena located beneath the capital of the Land of Rice. Nobles from various countries visited this venue in their leisure time, indulging in gambling. For them, the destructive ninjutsu techniques had grown tiresome. They craved the raw spectacle of hand-to-hand combat and lethal brawls, thus birthing this bloody arena. Fall. The referee raised his right hand, halting the attacker eager to pursue the enemy. His fingers formed a gesture of 10, which subsequently transformed into 9. The audience, brimming with excitement, joined in the countdown, and upon reaching 0, the battle was deemed concluded. After regaining his composure, Mario felt he was not entirely ensnared in an inescapable predicament. Despite the formidable abilities of his opponent, they were primarily exceptional in ninjutsu, perhaps in terms of physical prowess. His combat skills surpassed theirs. He and Naruto stood on the fighting stage, both discarding their weapons. The rules of the match were straightforward, unrestricted free combat, with a 10-second count for anyone who fell, a loss for those who exited the fighting area, and a loss for anyone unable to continue. This implied that even death was permissible, correct? The peace of the Hidden Cloud Village was abruptly shattered by these bizarre, brown-skinned creatures. These entities possessed chakra but lacked the ability to wield ninjutsu, relying solely on their terrifying regenerative capabilities to rampage. This healing ability reminded Sasuke of the regenerative technique shared by both the 5th and 7th Hokage. However, a stark distinction lay in the fact that these brown-skinned monsters had lost their basic human rationale. Their attacks on the villagers were akin to those of wild beasts, tearing and slaughtering. Help! Konoha High School, renowned as the most prestigious high school in the city, boasted exceptional faculty, a commendable campus environment, and a robust academic atmosphere. Yet, no matter how profound the learning environment, it could not restrain the tumultuous hearts of adolescents. Groups of students traversed the tree-lined path adorned with cherry blossoms. Naruto observed a few couples walking by, the boys riding bicycles while the girls clung to their arms, an endearing sight that incited a pang of jealousy within him. "Hey, you actually arrived this early today," Deidara exclaimed. "It's Valentine's Day," he declared, leaping out of bed with enthusiasm. Eagerly donning his school uniform and clutching a slice of toast, he dashed towards school, much to the astonishment of his family. He had never anticipated school with such fervor. It felt as though years of education had culminated in this singular day. The time had come when opening his shoe cabinet would reveal a trove of love letters and chocolates. "Ah, you're here so early," Naruto murmured, rubbing the sleep from his eyes as he glanced at Deidara, who had just dashed past him. As Naruto navigated through the forest, a white paper crane appeared in his line of sight, gently landing on his shoulder. Initially taken aback, he unfurled the crane and discovered a message pinned in exquisite calligraphy. "The Rinnegan is in danger. Orochimaru is with me." Otsutsuki and Orochimaru have indeed formed an alliance. One targets the Hidden Cloud, while the other focuses on the Rinnegan. If I venture to rescue the Hidden Cloud, Konan will be in peril. Yet if I attempt to save the Rinnegan, Sasuke will face danger. It appears I am cornered into a dire choice. The third Raikage expression shifted, and he cast his gaze towards Konan atop the mountain. His eyes, darkened due to the impure world reincarnation, glinted with a fierce killing intent. He stepped forward, exerting force with one foot on the rock, unleashing the power of his lightning armor as he launched an attack towards Konan. "I will cover you. Find a way to escape with the Rinnegan," Minato urged, using his flying thunder god kunai to wound his own arm. Although blood did not flow, the sensation of pain was palpable. He endured the agony while resisting the mental control exerted by the impure world reincarnation in his mind, exclaiming in frustration, "Why am I still under this control?" Kisame realized that even though Orochimaru had transformed into a phosphorus serpent, he was still bound by the opponent's control, his body acting against his will. "It seems the effects are nearly complete, Second Mizukichi. It's not just you. Those two over there should be feeling it as well." The phosphorus serpent sneered. "The mental control of the impure world reincarnation strengthens gradually. It should now be at its peak." The battle between Minato and the Third Hokage abruptly ceased. Uchiha Madara, witnessing the devastation wrought upon the hidden cloud village by experimental creatures, suddenly received a message from Orochimaru. A brown serpent coiled around his leg, and bending down, he retrieved it. The serpent held a piece of white paper in its mouth, and upon unfolding it, he read a clear line penned in black. "Naruto Uzumaki is with me. Going to rescue Konan. Are you? It seems you plan to abandon Sasuke here," Madara chuckled, glancing at Uchiha Sasuke nearby. "It's time to act. Take his eyes." A heroic rescue of a damsel in distress, a thrilling scenario for two. If I were a girl rescued in such a manner, I would surely harbor secret affections. Kisame interjected humorously. "I would prefer not to be the object of affections from a browless fellow." "Huh? What did you say? Could you repeat that?" Kisame continued. "Of course. That was merely a polite remark. If you repeat it, I might just kill you, seriously." Kisame's forehead pulsed with veins as he clenched his fists. "So, you are the one who killed my son." The Third Hokage rose, acknowledging the foreknowledge of the situation. Kisame gazed at the coffin erected before Naruto, a smile creeping onto his lips as he said, "I can only predict a small portion of what is to come." Naruto replied softly, glancing at Minato, who lay beneath the tree, incapacitated by the sealing technique. His brow furrowed slightly. "He is your father, is he not? Aren't you going to meet him? Are you not planning to fight me?" I possess a keen sense of atmosphere. In this moment of father-son reunion, Naruto opened the door to the rental apartment, fully aware that no one awaited his return. Yet, he instinctively called out to the dark, empty room, "I'm back." As was his custom, he flicked on the lights, revealing a simple layout imbued with the unique innocence of childhood. Approaching the refrigerator, he opened it, finding only a few cartons of milk nearing expiration. All other food had vanished, even the instant noodles, consumed long ago. Naruto gazed into the refrigerator for a while, his expression darkening as he made his way to the table, where he picked up a sharp fruit knife. This knife represented everything that his beloved Konoha had done to him. His figure materialized behind Minato Namikaze, who witnessed a scene of utter devastation. Konoha was ablaze, resembling a sea of fire. During the Chunin exams, Naruto had unleashed Shikaku, the One-Tail, wreaking havoc throughout the village, ultimately shattering the visage of each Hokage. He stood atop Hokage Rock, laughing maniacally, his eyes gleaming with a terrifying madness. And this was my retaliation against Konoha. As the illusion dissipated, Minato returned to reality, where Naruto stood before him. "What have you concocted?" Naruto raised an eyebrow, observing the girl before him, whose proportions were remarkably disproportionate, and spoke with a hint of exasperation. "I utilized the reincarnation technique to extract the consciousness of the Book of Dimensions. Previously, it was discovered that a page had been torn out by the last user, Otsutsuki Ishiki. If not promptly replaced, it could be exploited in a manner that could jeopardize us." Naruto puffed out his chest with pride. "Thus, I transferred it into a highly advanced white zetsu." In other words, he pondered aloud, "As long as I remain in this timeline without activating the Manjiki to leap through dimensions, I can thwart Madara and Ishiki's plans?" After a moment of contemplation, he quietly inquired, "I mentioned earlier that the alternate world possesses instability. You cannot ascertain when this fanfiction world may collapse. If it reaches the point of disintegration, escape will be impossible. The only way to navigate life safely and peacefully is to," a voice murmured, "eliminate the original world's Naruto Uzumaki. As long as you can remain within the main timeline." On the bustling streets, the occasional whinny of horses echoed, the creaking of wheels on the pavement contributing to the distinctive sounds of a commercial street. Hanabi and Hinata strolled along, both adorned in beautiful kimono-style yukatas, their faces lit with delightful smiles. "Sister Hinata, let's go catch goldfish," Hanabi exclaimed, excitedly tugging at Hinata's hand and shaking her arm playfully. "Very well. Today we'll follow Hanabi's lead." "We can do whatever you wish," Hinata replied with a gentle laugh. Currently, a new military force in the ninja world is known as the Alliance for the Destruction of the Uzumaki, a name that leaves little to the imagination. Their objective is to obliterate our new land of Uzumaki. In a meeting convened by the likes of Uzumaki Naruto and Uchiha Obito to discuss the current state of affairs, Noira, serving as the aide to the Hokage, was the first to articulate concerns and propose solutions. She rapped her knuckles against the blackboard adorned with a map of the ninja world, stating, "The forces that have united this time are numerous. Yet the greatest source of anxiety undoubtedly stems from our adversaries, Uchiha Madara and Otsutsuki Ishiki." Orochimaru's ability to perform the reanimation jutsu to compensate for the overall deficiency in combat power was acknowledged, yet this was a tactic that would no longer permit reckless abandon. "Calm yourself," Shursui remarked coldly as he formed hand seals, summoning Susanoo to unleash a colossal fireball, which dwarfed even a chakra projectile. The immense fireball collided with the chakra bomb, shattering both upon impact. After gauging the chakra bomb's strength through this fiery test, Shursui commanded Susanoo to launch a green tomo at the chakra bomb, the tomo of Yasaka. Upon obliterating a chakra bomb, the tomo returned like a boomerang, methodically dismantling the remaining 3 bombs. Ignoring the anguished screams of Temari, a kunai carved a long, slender scar across her face as the merciless Wu Wonguan raised his weapon, intent on striking again from a different angle. However, just as the kunai descended, it transformed, its body morphed into white scales, the hilt morphing into the head of a white serpent that lunged at Wu Wonguan's face. The serpent, visible to the naked eye, seemed to be absorbed, burrowing into Wu Wonguan's facial pores. He screamed, collapsing to the ground, rolling in agony as the serpent wreaked havoc within him. The battlefield of the Cloud Village was a scene of utter chaos, with 30,000 war monsters being contained outside the main battlefield by Deidara and his associates utilizing extensive ninjutsu. Scorpion employed the iron sand technique to erect a massive barrier, akin to trapping a turtle in a jar, launching hundreds of fearsome explosive tags toward the center of this barrier. Deidara's clay bombs rendered the 30,000 war monsters into mere pulp. Yet, to their astonishment, even when reduced to chunks of flesh, these monsters could regenerate, instilling a sense of fatigue in the trio as they grappled with an overwhelming feeling of an inexhaustible threat. Once their wounds were healed, the monsters commenced their assault on the paper wall. Conan executed the paper jutsu, ensnaring the allied forces outside the forest, while inside, Rin led a medical team to tend to the wounded allied ninjas. Obito and Guy were tasked with hunting down the remaining enemies within the woods, racing against time to eliminate them and escort the injured to safety within 3 minutes. Although Uzumaki Naruto had successfully captured 2 shadow-level foes, she found herself too distant from the battlefield to intervene promptly. Orochimaru, through his reanimation jutsu, summoned dozens of shadow-level ninjas, including the 4th Hokage, who had been uniquely resurrected, and the 3rd Hokage, sealed by the 4 Seals sword. "Obito, Naruto, you shall confront Uchiha Madara, while Jiraiya and I will deal with that figure radiating green light." As the might of Kai began to liberate itself layer by layer, blue steam erupted from his body, while sweat and adrenaline surged forth rapidly. His skin turned a deep reddish brown, veins bulged on his forehead, and his entire skeletal structure emitted a series of sharp cracking sounds. The 7th gate of the 8 gates, the Gate of Shock, was now open. "Come forth, traitor, and the protagonist of this world." Madara Uchiha forcefully flung Sasuke aside, who fell to the ground, coughing. "Did you use Izanami on him?" Obito questioned, shaking his vacant eyes as he stared blankly at Naruto Uzumaki, who stood frozen in place. With a furrowed brow, he asked, "Where did you set the note? Do you think I would divulge that information?" Madara scoffed, his eternal Manjiki Sharingan dimming slightly, yet the chilling aura surrounding him remained undiminished. "I won't kill him. As long as you and this fool stay here and don't cause any trouble, I won't lay a hand on you. Understood?" In an instant, Guy's figure vanished from sight, reappearing before Ishiki in the blink of an eye. He bent his stance, generating a powerful air cannon by striking the air. The cannon took on a cylindrical form, and within its confines, Ishiki's visage was distorted by the force, trembling as if it might be torn asunder. Death Gate, Evening Elephant. This was merely the effect of a swift evening elephant. The attack power of the evening elephant escalated with speed, increasing according to the number of strikes from 1 to 5. The entire world fell into a monochrome state, as within Sasuke's Manjiki, the 4-cornered Manjiki of Shursui appeared. Utilizing his left hand's Hashirama cells, he successfully transplanted Shursui's eyes, transforming his own Sharingan into the eternal Manjiki Sharingan. The duration of his ocular techniques was now extended, and even the divine punishment of the Silver Wheel rebirth could not surpass the control of the terminal rules. Swiftly, Sasuke rescued Jiraiya, placing him alongside Shursui before instantly appearing before Naruto, employing the Kodo Amatsukami on him. The battlefield's arrangement was straightforward. Minato and Obito confronted Madara Uchiha, while Naruto and Sasuke faced off against Ishiki Tsutsuki. After unlocking the eternal Manjiki Sharingan and entering the Nine-Tails mode, the duo's power soared to an unparalleled zenith within the shinobi world. "Do not presume this will defeat me," Ishiki warned, furrowing his brow as he unleashed repulsive force upon the two. Naruto flickered and vanished from sight, without employing any flying Raijin marks as a medium. Yet he activated the flying Raijin, appearing instantaneously before Ishiki, with several golden claws materializing behind him, poised to strike. As long as he could delay until the Ten-Tails transformed into the God Tree, he could initiate the infinite Tsukuyami to resurrect his mother. Black Zetsu manipulated Nagato's body, sensing an indescribable surge of power, although he had not yet fully become the Ten-Tails jinchūriki. This strength was sufficient for him to assist Naruto and the others in defeating Ishiki and Madara. However, just as he took a step forward, intending to emerge from within the Ten-Tails, a hand landed firmly upon his back. Heibi paused momentarily, then turned to face his opponent, only to find a Mion wearing a menacing cold smile, forcefully pinning Heibi down onto the body of the Ten-Tails. Finally, it has begun. Uchiha Madara was pressed to the ground by Minato, yet he paid no heed to the weight upon him, his fiery gaze fixated intently on the silent Naruto. "Naruto!" Obito exclaimed anxiously, "You must deactivate the Manjiki Sharingan at once." Dark chakra surged from Naruto, enveloping his form and subsequently coalescing into a skeletal figure. The bones of the skeleton were shrouded in muscle, expanding into a colossal half-figure. "Why is this thing so weak?" Amion, dissatisfied with the Ten-Tails being overwhelmed, questioned. "Does it only know how to spit?" Naruto had consumed Sasuke's chakra fruit, merging the powers of Indra and Ashura, although Naruto was in a state of unconsciousness. His body instinctively began to harness the powers of the six paths. Heibi shook his head and remarked, "The pair of Susanoo wings behind that guy symbolizes the awakening of a special six paths power. If a fight ensues, we surely stand no chance." Upon witnessing Minato's arrival, both Madara and Obito realized their plan had faltered. A grayish sword light erupted once more from its sheath, hurtling toward Minato. Before he could employ the Flying Thunder God technique, the sword light reached him, offering no opportunity for a reaction. Suddenly, several fragments of paper enveloped Minato, lifting him into the air. Conan, clad in a flowing white robe, rescued him, then formed hand seals to send 1,000 origami cranes toward the Susanoo with 9 tails. The Susanoo, which could cleave mountains, halted its intended strike. The number of individuals aboard the Ark of Noah is limited. Kabuto wore a sinister smile as he spoke. "This is an outcome even the Book of Dimensions could not foresee. It is the future I have prepared, a plan for fleeing through the timelines." "Did you already know that Orochimaru would be consumed by Naruto's soul-stealing technique alongside Sasuke?" Scorpion took the paper from Haiden, knowing that with Haiden's intellect, he would scarcely comprehend its contents. Scorpion's expression grew serious as he turned to Kabuto and asked, "Even if he is your mentor, can you truly act against him without hesitation?" Naruto suddenly felt a sense of discomfort within his body. He first broke free from Kagaya's grasp, who looked downcast, her palm reflecting the sorrow of a child whose treasured possession had been snatched away. "Naruto?" Konan noticed something amiss with Naruto, who abruptly pushed her away, rasping, "Do not come near me." Suddenly, a massive white serpent erupted from Naruto's back, its head resembling Orochimaru, who wore a chilling smile as he proclaimed, "The Book of Dimensions." Minato gazed up at his adversary, softly inquiring, "What exactly is your aim?" "The purpose exists for meaning, yet I myself am an entity devoid of significance." Amion shook his head and spoke, "The world shatters because too many individuals have come to know the truth of the dimensions. Lower dimensional beings are not permitted to perceive the existence of higher dimensions. This is a fundamental law of the authentic universe, serving as a protective measure for civilizations. Thus, upon reaching the primary world, those individuals will forget." The observer responded correctly, and the world tree has branched out. The star manipulator responds to the observer's request, activating the mirror realm mode. Within the observer's perspective, the title for Naruto Uzumaki remains unchanged, while in the primary world, his title is altered. Since the conclusion of the Fourth Great Ninja War, the world has embraced a fleeting peace. The Seventh Hokage, Naruto Uzumaki, proposed the concept of peaceful coexistence, which garnered the support of the majority within the shinobi realm, heralding the dawn of an era of tranquility. During this peaceful age, the economic trade among nations flourished rapidly, and the entire shinobi world thrived, with high-tech innovations emerging. Have you heard? That Tanmura Nobuyuki has gone missing. Along with his companions, no one knows their whereabouts. Previously, those parents came to confront Principal Irika. How outrageous. What does this have to do with Principal Irika? Besides, those individuals were never virtuous. I find joy in their disappearance. Eventually, the 7th Hokage intervened to resolve the matter. Truly, the great Hokage is deserving of admiration, as he managed to persuade those parents without resorting to violence. How I admire him. Amion, with his head bowed, was writing. Occasionally, couples in love strolled through the streets of Konoha Village, and Konan, clad in her ninja academy uniform, clung to Naruto's hand, embodying the essence of a young girl. Don't run away, Kaibai. Naruto and Konan heard a little girl's cry. Upon hearing the name Kaibai, Naruto raised an eyebrow and looked ahead, where a small red fox leaped onto his face, its short legs briefly tapping against him. What is this? Collaborative training represents the final graduation course at the Ninja Academy. Only those who succeed in this training are eligible to graduate as Genin. It is said that this course was established by the 7th Hokage, emphasizing the importance of believing in the strength of others. The task is quite straightforward: to seize a bell from the hands of one's team instructor, akin to the examination that Kakashi administered to Naruto and his peers in the original Team 7. If possible, Naruto wished to unleash the power of the Nine-Tails chakra, dispatching a flurry of summoning techniques to bewilder his instructor. Due to the phenomenon of jumping across timelines, Naruto, though aware of the astonishment he inspired in both Rock Lee and others, found that their amazement did not impede their actions. With a swift leap, Lee charged towards him, revealing that he had barely tapped into even 1/10 of his true strength, with the formidable 8 Gates technique still untouched. Even so, it was enough to leave Iwaba gasping for breath. Watch out for his legs, Iwaba cautioned. Understood. Naruto's hands formed a peculiar fist gesture, causing both Lee and the 7th Hokage to momentarily pause in bewilderment. The pale blue of the Uchiha Clan symbol loomed large, an entity both anticipated and dreaded by countless children. The well-behaved ones yearned for praise and affirmation from their parents during the parent-teacher meeting, while the mischievous ones hoped their names would not be mentioned, particularly in relation to their academic performance. To Naruto's utmost embarrassment, however, not a single parent from Class 3 had shown up. Although Kaguya initially intended to masquerade as a parent, Naruto firmly dismissed the notion. As for Jean, her parents had long since departed from this world. Outside the village of Konoha, a raccoon frolicked in the woods, leaping from a tree only to collide headfirst into the skull of a black-haired man. Upon receiving the impact, he stirred awake, his body riddled with shurikens and blades, firmly impaled against the tree trunk, and his injuries appeared quite grave. Sasuke, a pink figure, entered the scene, and the man known as Sasuke struggled to rise, only to be forcibly restrained by the short-haired woman in a cheapao. She examined his wounds and softly remarked, "You've lost quite a bit of blood, but thankfully, you weren't hit in a vital area. I suppose it is not ideal for you to be saying such things at this moment, is it?" A sly smile crept across the lips of Quan, who leaned in to whisper to Naruto, his voice barely audible to the 3 members of Class 3, leaving Jean and Iwabe utterly perplexed, unable to grasp the meaning behind Quan's words. "If I so wished, it would be a simple matter to make that girl who has been watching you suffer a little, you know?" Quan's gaze drifted toward Konan, who was not far off, accompanied by a light chuckle. Meanwhile, the graduating students of the Ninja Academy enjoyed a rare tranquility, as their daily tasks consisted merely of completing a few minor missions, followed by an afternoon of leisure. Engaging in games or hanging out with friends became delightful pastimes. The trio from Class 7 wandered the streets, discussing the upcoming Chunin exams. "As long as we can showcase our abilities in the Chunin exams, our parents will witness our efforts," Sarada exclaimed, eagerly rubbing her hands together. "I can hardly wait to see the astonishment on my dad's face." The dimly lit street was illuminated by only a few flickering streetlights. Konan, having just purchased a late-night snack, noticed several ninja wearing white masks approaching her. With a swift motion, shuriken made of paper materialized in her palm, and a fierce glint ignited within her striking eyes. "Please accompany us," one of the apparent leaders stated. "Who are you? Since when did Konoha become a place where anyone could freely come and go?" Shaonin retreated a few steps, yet a ninja swiftly obstructed her path. In the early morning, Naruto, still bleary-eyed, was led out of the dormitory by Sasuke Uchiha, having discovered a scroll in the Kaguya Palace. Sasuke sensed an impending and significant crisis looming over the hidden Leaf Village. potentially linked to Uchiha Madara, regardless of the circumstances. He could not permit Madara to seize Naruto from the village, otherwise he might encounter a second version of himself. "I haven't eaten yet," Naruto exclaimed with a hint of reluctance on his face. Even if it's special training, there's no need to rush so much. Boruto quickly stepped back, realizing Naruto's formidable strength, which far surpassed that of a mere genin, likely rivaling that of many nin. Even with the use of scientific ninja tools, overcoming him would require considerable effort. "Though I know not the means you have employed, I shall indulge you in a playful contest, little one," Naruto remarked with a peculiar smile, kicking a shuriken off the ground. He then coldly declared, "Let me witness just how far your reliance on that power can take you." Today marked the commencement of the second nin examination. The genin from various ninja villages, having successfully navigated the first round of questioning, began preparing for the second round, the flag capture battle. The rules of this contest bore some resemblance to the previous year's contest for the Scrolls of Heaven and Earth, yet it was significantly safer. The battleground comprised a unique arena divided into 4 distinct sections: woods, river, ruins, and plains. Each section conferred advantages and support for specific chakra attributes. For instance, the woodland area favored fire and earth-style ninjas, while water and wind-style ninjas found themselves at a disadvantage. In a side story involving the deity and the rogue Naruto, the Shurdao Primary School, a prestigious institution in Malong City, only admitted the children of adults with a certain societal standing. Those fortunate enough to attend this school were considered future elite, achieving what others might toil a lifetime for in just a few years. Naruto glanced at his watch, observing the students pouring out of the school. A frown creased his brow with worry. Logically, Natsuki should have already rushed towards him by now. Why had 5 minutes passed without any sign of her? Was she once again detained by a teacher for fighting? "Quite a splendid speech, Mr. Naruto," the Foshonan remarked, clapping her hands with a hint of mockery in her tone. "But anyone can speak such words. Can a lifetime of listening to grand philosophies guarantee a fulfilling life? Clearly not." "What do you mean?" Naruto arched an eyebrow and inquired, "What is your true objective?" "I cannot believe you are here merely to advance to nin. For you," the Foshonan asserted decisively, "do not presume that defeating a few mere decorations makes you a master." With a cold smirk, Gonshu Shurjang lifted the shark skin, wrapped in white cloth behind him. He then abruptly tugged at the cloth with his left hand, revealing a deep blue blade with serrated edges. An eerie aura radiated from the sword as he bared his mouth, lined with sharp teeth, and continued, "This blade is known as shark skin. You must be aware of its formidable power, but it depends on who wields it." Naruto scoffed, his hands buried in the pockets of his outer garment, a mocking smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Use 7 sword style, reverse flash." With a powerful thrust of one foot, a surge of strength erupted from his legs, transforming his figure into a brilliant flash of light that darted through the air. Ghost-chung hastily raised the shark skin, and a sharp clang echoed as his grip was jolted, rendering him momentarily paralyzed. "What terrifying power!" he gasped, witnessing the lightning erupting before him, a slight numbness radiating from the hilt of the shark skin. "I shall not let you succeed," he shouted as he charged toward Naruto. Upon returning to his chamber, Naruto wiped away the lipstick imprint on his face and sighed in relief after locking the door. "Why so tense?" A familiar voice resonated from behind him, causing Naruto to pause, instinctively summoning the Rai Jin Fong from the scroll that transformed into the lightning sword. "What are you doing here?" He turned to see a clone resembling Conan, wearing a teasing smile and draped in Naruto's coat. "With my paper manipulation abilities, I can go anywhere with ease." The competition unfolded faster than anticipated. Predictably, the 3 from Team 7 advanced successfully, while Kanjin and Iwabuchi faced defeat against ninjas from other villages, lamentably falling short. To the astonishment of the ninja world, 5 of the 8 finalists were from Konoha, while other villages were fortunate to have even one ninja among the top 8. At this rate, the final battle may well turn into a conflict within Konoha itself. "I will defeat my opponents," Shinki declared, clenching his fists as he observed the effortlessly defeated Kumogakure ninja by Mitsuki. "I will not bring disgrace to my father. We must halt this match. It could lead to disaster," the 7th Hokage murmured, gazing uneasily at Naruto, who exuded a foreboding presence. Shinki appears to be holding on as well. Gaara remained silent, quietly observing Shinki, his hands gradually tightening into fists, his gaze reflecting turmoil and complexity. "Sand iron great waterfall." Shinki waved his hands, unleashing a torrent of sand iron that surged forth like ocean waves, its immense momentum carrying a chilling aura, drawing gasps from the audience. Such formidable force. This ninjutsu is remarkable. Fueled by rage, Kenkai are commanded his puppet to launch an assault on Naruto, thousands of sharp poison needles erupting from the puppet. The lethal intent slicing through the air like a chilling blade. As the poison needles erupted, Naruto tightened his grip on the sword, swiftly swinging it to create a massive tempest that shredded the needles, green liquid splattering everywhere. A mocking smile graced his lips as he leaned forward, the blade carving a brilliant arc that accurately struck Kenkai's puppet strings. The pace was excruciatingly slow. As a puppeteer, he gritted his teeth and seized Naruto, exchanging their positions. A colossal claw of sand, imbued with terrifying power, descended upon Kanjuro, accompanied by a sharp crack. Blood erupted from his mouth, and he collapsed onto the ground, utterly limp. Brother! Gaara's pupils constricted sharply. He leapt down from the elevated sand platform, trembling hands lifting the seemingly lifeless Kanjuro. A gash marred his mouth, inflicted by Naruto's blade, while the contusions from the sand claw were starkly evident in his eyes. The finals loomed ahead, a matter of utmost importance that every ninja village was monitoring closely. The Chunin exams were finally nearing their conclusion, and both competitors in the finals hailed from the Hidden Leaf. As Naruto had previously asserted, the Hidden Leaf wielded absolute dominance over the entire ninja world, whether in military might or technological prowess. Under the pressure of the 7th Hokage and Sasuke, other ninja villages dared not provoke the Hidden Leaf. Welcome to the Leaf Channel. We are currently broadcasting the third round of the Chunin exams live from the arena. As you may already know, this is the decisive match, and both contestants are present. Shirway furrowed his brow, rapidly forming hand seals. He unleashed a ferocious gust of wind from his mouth. A menacing vortex surged towards Naruto with great force. Whoosh! Naruto effortlessly sliced through the wind spiral with his blade, charging at Shirway like a wild beast. Flames erupted fiercely along the sword, warping the surrounding air with their searing heat. Ninja sword technique. Flame slash. The fire took the shape of a magnificent arc in midair, and just as it was about to strike Shirway, his figure vanished. What is happening? The 7th Hokage, seated, momentarily froze, then sprang up from his chair, his azure eyes wide with astonishment as he beheld a figure emerging slowly from the vortex. Clad in white garments, an eerie white horn protruded from its forehead, and its eyes, devoid of any black, glimmered with mockery and murderous intent. A member of the Uchiha Clan, Sasuke Uchiha knitted his brows tightly. As the hero of the ninja world, he was all too familiar with the enemy before him. Good afternoon, lowly beings.